Good evening, gamers, and welcome to day 8 of the Amateur Arena presented by AOE. Personally, I'm really excited. I'm always really excited, but I'm really excited for tonight too. There's a lot of AOE players in there, but there's also a lot of new faces and even some Academy talent that's coming and getting their part in this. We have a couple matchups that we saw already. Last night we saw Dragoon and Speedo battle it out, and I'm really excited to watch them play again. But Kelsey, Pukar, welcome. You will be on the LCS tonight, and I'd love to hear from both of you. What are you excited to see tonight?
I am looking forward to watching some quality top lane action because there's some spicy matchups, but also in particular, I think mid jungle is going to be the key to victory today. We've obviously got some comfort picks in meta for some of these bot lane players, but in general, I think we've got a little bit of a strong statement that can be made by Rosethorn here, coming in from Academy. And of course, Leo99, I think, has been a great story throughout the course of this amateur arena, doing some great damage on picks like LeBlanc, a lot of great assassin picks and champions, an AoE favorite, if you will. So really looking forward to see how those 2v2s play out, because I think that might blow up in the game.
Yeah, I can agree with Kelsey on the mid jungle 2v2s. I think as well on the other side of mid for Shochi, his champion pool is pretty much mid lane assassins. He's playing some mages, some of the LeBlanc and Akali as well. But that's a key point of the map where both teams can just kind of attack. As well as like from the bot lane, both of these supports, like when they're on their comfort picks like Leona, Thresh, and Rel, they can really come towards mid lane on their resets and kind of impact the skirmishing in mid lane as well. So I'm excited to see whether they choose to pick some of the enchanters that are seen at Worlds like Yuumi and Nami right now, or if they're going for more of their comfort picks of like the engagers like Leona.
It looks like a draft is starting, so be a fun one. Karth is banned. I remember we talked about a little bit about is it LeenK or LeenK picking up the Karthus here? Pukar, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of I wouldn't say one tricks, but the main champions of all the players that are coming out are coming off the pool. I mean, Karthus is one that LeenK has been playing a bunch in these showdowns. We also see Darius and Lucian banned on blue side, which is targeted at Dragoon and Kyle, ADC.
Yeah, I find it interesting that you've got they're banning Lucian against Kyle when Haze himself is such a great Lucian player, right? Previously Vex, very well known for that. And the Graves first pick. There are a lot of fancy things that can get picked into this. That we haven't necessarily seen at Worlds. We've seen I've seen the Graves Lucian matchup, or not Graves, Graves Jace matchup so many times. It's kind of terrifying. Oh, is Vex enabled for this tournament? Okay, cool.
It looks like it, Kelsey. I believe that's normally a mid lane pick for Vex. I haven't seen Leo play that before, obviously, since we haven't seen these players in competitive, and that champion's not enabled right now, but
I think, for example, Leo's story throughout the year, just watching him develop his champion pool, going from being primarily a Diana and assassin player, picking up a lot of different champions. I remember, I think I watched him play Orianna once really, really early when he hadn't played it very often, and he has a really good mechanical knowledge and ability to pick up champions quickly, so I'm excited to see what he does with this Vex pick. If it does end up going to the mid lane, though, I think it can kind of go to some different locations. I've seen it played support sometimes. It's definitely one of those picks that has a lot of possibilities. It's pretty strong with all of the options that it has available, especially when we think about Poppy being so strong in the meta. Like any dash interrupt is really, really powerful at the moment. So I see Vex having an easy place.
Yeah, we see the Felios picked up by red side, which could allow them to pick a strong support on 3 here, while blue side locks in the Zed and the Ziggs, which pretty much should confirm Zed mid, Ziggs bot, and Graves still hold as a flex technically, but probably going top lane.
Yeah, and I would assume that the Zed mid is obviously to enable the Ziggs bot. The Felios being extremely vulnerable to AP damage with low base MR. in the bot lane. So initially when we started to see Ziggs bot like sort of return last year, 2020, it was mostly as a counter pick to Aphelios. So it makes a lot of sense to see it here again. And then we've got Thresh picked out, and then banning Leona, the terror. I'm so used to seeing Leona go through the first rotation, so the fact that it made it all the way down is pretty surprising and interesting to me, and I'm curious to see what's picked into Thresh after this.
Yeah, I see a couple options from the blue side Rosethorn's team. They could go with a JayJ staple and Bard for the potentially roaming ability to influence the solo lanes, as well as something like the Rel or the Nautilus just to try and fight them. But likely we're gonna see a pick from blue side that can kind of go towards mid lane and leave Ziggs to play his lane pretty straightforwardly.
Nautilus would work pretty well with the Ziggs, so I would be surprised to see it unbanned. I do think that champion is a little bit weak in terms of bait stats, so if I'm red side, I'm really enjoying that champion being banned, or if I'm left side. So yeah, the Blitzcrank I think makes sense. Doesn't have the best synergy with Ziggs, but for me, I'm looking at Aphelios, Vex, Rush, all champions really weak to Blitzcrank, so they'll let the synergy take a bit of a backseat there.
Let's see. I mean, we got the red side. Blue side banned Kha'Zix, which is for LeenK, and Malphite is for Dragoon. So it's likely showing that Graves is probably going top and he doesn't want to play against Malphite. Obviously, we're double AD already, so Malphite's pretty valuable. And red side locks in Kindred for jungle for LeenK.
Yeah, I think this is the Kindred Thresh combo is really interesting considering how much AoE damage you have from the blue side. You have the ability to kind of immediately debate someone with the Thresh Lantern and save them from an all-in burst combo. You have the ability, once Zed goes in, to trigger the Kindred ultimate, the Lamb's Respite, and then you have the option that also from outranging Graves. Kindred used to be an old pick into Graves, pretty successful. So I think this is a pretty strong pick, just considering the entirety of the draft and not just the particular. It's also a strong point for City Witty. He kind of enjoys his pick, LeenK. So I think it's good to see it coming out.
Yeah, we see some engage coming out of blue side with Xin Zhao and Rakan locked in. Rakan normally not most favorable into Thresh, but I'm sure JayJ has experience in this matchup where he's paired with the Ziggs where he can find opportunities to reset and get out of that lane. And Xin Zhao, I believe, is pretty strong at the Kindred early and can kind of maintain advantages throughout the game versus Kindred. But it does create a triple AD topside.
Yeah, it also just screams comfort to me for JayJ to lock in this Rakan here. The thing I'm looking at here is picking the Wukong into Graves. I've seen a lot of creative picks into this Graves top, which confirmed it is by showing the Xin Zhao pick. I think that obviously both of these champions do very well versus AP damage the longer they are in a fight. So it can be a very volatile matchup. I like to see more AP top champs as counterpicks to both of these, especially since I think overall Wukong doesn't have that much value versus this entire team comp. But I'll be watching this top matchup because I think it could blow open, especially if Graves plays this matchup not just to push the wave, but to control a bit, to try to deny on the early levels.
Yeah, it creates some interesting team comps that we've got mapped out here with a sort of pseudo 1-3-1 with the Zed coming out from blue side where they kind of don't really want to team fight the Aphelios Thresh Kindred Wukong squad. So they're probably just going to look for picks, try to play on sides, which is sometimes a little bit more difficult to execute when we're playing in these showdowns because the players don't have much experience playing with each other. So the communication between these players on the fly is going to have to be solid in order for them, I think, to get going in this game.
Yeah, Daption just has to scream, "Take my lantern," as loud as he can. I think LeenK being really responsible for understanding the biggest cooldowns going into a fight. He has to think, okay, I'm gonna save my Kindred ulti for exactly these moments and looking for the key sound effects and the triggers for those. It's more or less what I'm looking for. I think that you're picking Zinzao Rakan into the Vex, so that'll be interesting to see, and Vex Aphelios, it'll be interesting to see you try to all in these champs. So I'm actually kind of favoring draft on the right quite a bit, and looking forward to seeing how this game plays out, considering both of the compositions picked up.
Yeah, I also think I favor red side, not only because of the composition, but I think it might be easier to execute for these players. I mean, a lot of these champions are pretty straightforward, and if they can group around objectives early and into the mid game, I think they can find some advantages that way pretty safely.
Looks like they are picking up those champs. We're seeing the draft play out for us in real time after having watched the pro draft, more or less. So, any additional thoughts based on this? So, I think we're seeing a lot of AOE and a lot of good answers to AOE on the right side. No pun intended, because we are on the AOE stream. But what for you is the most exciting matchup to watch play out today?
I mean, I love the Zed lock-in from Shochi against Leo 99's Vex. I haven't gotten to watch this champion too much, mostly because it's been disabled in all the competitive leagues, even the amateur ones. Haven't been seeing it a lot. So I'm excited to see, because Shochi did pick this into the Vex intentionally, so I wonder if he has some sort of experience in this matchup or some tech that he wants to try and pull out against the Vex specifically.
All right, and with that, I do believe we are transitioning and handing off to our casters, Rude Dude and Magical, both of them fabulous, to take you into the action.
Hello, hello, welcome into our first game of the show match. Everyone's loaded up onto the Rift. You saw the champion select. Our analyst broke that down beautifully, but myself, Mad Magical, and Rude Dude are here to take over from there as everyone is going to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, standard 5 point here for our first game. Block of 3 tonight, so regardless, 3 games going to be going on for you guys today. We've elected to go for the junglers yesterday. It was top and support for the team name, so we'll be referring to Rosethorn and LeenK as the team's representatives, I suppose. Blue and red, however we want to be looking at it. And I, for one, my magical, saw a Vex game yesterday, but it doesn't take away from the excitement that I've got of seeing another one today.
Personally, I've also been spamming a lot of Vex, so I really like playing this champion, but I will say she functions much more as an AP Nocturne of sorts, if you catch my drift, with being able to dive in. As right now, looks like there is going to be a spot out. Nice little dance away to escape, but I like that invade coming in from Thresh.
Very slight adaptation, right? Just a small invade going in as 2 members. You're up against just one, has to dash away right there, and quite nicely, not necessarily finding a ward, they get the Raptor Pit ward down actually, so a little bit of deep vision, which isn't matched on the other side, so it might only be a slight advantage, but tracking jungle pathing, we know, is a very powerful tool in the early stages, and we'll have to see if LeenK is able to translate that into maybe pathing slightly wiser around where this Xin Zhao's going to be.
Especially when you're playing Kindred, something that's so susceptible to these skirmishes from Xin Zhao, from Zed, from Graves, even the Rakan probably going to show up early on because we see this draft by Team Rosethorn. This is a draft that wants to play around the top side, especially getting this Rakan out of the bot lane so Ziggs can just solo push on his own and not really interact with the bot lane.
Exactly. When we see the Ziggs come through, we know that this is going to be a fairly non-interactive bot lane. You can already see that we've got Kyle pushing in this wave using the Thresh Aphelios bot lane as the gold standard that it should be to try and assert some dominance early on. Upon those first recalls, we do expect to see resets and translations up to the top side, see if other people can make their way into that top side fray. And as you quite rightly pointed out, expecting to see the roams from the likes of Rakan, the likes of Thresh, and leave these AD carries, these bot laners more notably, on a bit of an island down here.
Yeah, but looking right now at the priority that we're seeing already from Team LeenK, and they've got this bot lane, this mid lane, shoving in pretty harshly in Team Rosethorn that honestly might give some avenues for Rosethorn to actually make a play around the bottom half instead, especially trying to make sure you can deny these marks early from LeenK.
That's exactly what you want to do. Kindred, once she reaches those 4 marks, obviously a completely different beast with that extra range that she gets, certainly feels like a new champion when they're able to secure all of those marks. There's a slight difference in the push though. We're expecting this range versus melee to go through Leo, finding a nice sphere and a lot of scraps going on along these lanes on the bot side. So good to see these guys getting their fingers warm and looking for those scraps early on.
I will say, though, it's surprising to me. I would have thought that would have been Team Rosethorn starting all these little scraps early on. It's Team LeenK. They're the ones getting these advantages. You can see bot lane, even though that was a nice shot to charge to try to get a little bit extra damage on top of Kyle, it just really doesn't do enough. It's not really getting the control necessary to push back. It's kind of just a net neutral right now.
And a nice ward over the wall there does net, again, a bit more vision and potentially an invade coming through by LeenK to take away the Raptors. We can see that the same has happened on his top side, so this isn't an advantage going over necessarily to the Kindred, but it is going to be trading over on those neutrals or on those jungle camps fairly early on. And with the way that this mid lane is going as well, there's a slight CS lead to Leo right now, and I know you've been obviously playing a load of the Vex, but to me this screams like a Vex-favored lane.
Oh, for sure. It's pretty much anything that is melee or low range Vex will punish, even some things that have pretty good range. Those Mistral bolts are really powerful, and then if you're able to utilize personal space, but right there, Leo had to utilize the flash instead to avoid wind becomes lightning, just to make sure that you're not going to die in that fight. Then, and the thing I also like about Vex is you can clearly see when that fear is up. So that's why Shochi understood when you could play aggressively, when you could try to go aggressive onto Leo 99 and allow for maybe in a little bit of time Rosethorn to show back up mid.
Of course, like you say, right, that potential return gank is something that Leo's certainly going to have to be fearful for. And remember how the draft played itself out. This was a flex pick of the Zed. We were going into it, I know, on our own terms, thinking that this was going to be a Zed in the jungle to begin with. But then, you know, they swapped the playbook a little bit. Zed got transitioned into the mid lane. They sort of sacrificed a little bit of this mid matchup for a more beneficial jungle matchup, going with this Zin's out into the Kindred. So if you get that mid lane that you'd already slightly sacked off in the draft with a beneficial position, that just adds to the power that Rosethorn's team do have in the early stages.
I mean, honestly, it was crazy. I loved the draft coming in from Team Rosethorn because they grabbed the Graves, they grabbed Ziggs and Zed early on, so the Graves could have even gone into the jungle. We've seen that a couple times over at Worlds where it's still being flexed back into the jungle role, even though it's much more commonly seen in this top lane to be a neutralizing factor that not many can do much about, because all he does is push out, stay safe like you just saw right there, dashing away, because the moment he spots anybody, he's back towards his turret.
Yeah, and I don't even think that he spotted anyone. Just the fact that Dragoon is saying, oh, you know what, I'll randomly try and take a fight with you. It alerts Speedo to the fact that there's probably somebody up on this top side. And as we'd already talked about, the fact that we got to see roaming up from the supports already, did see Thresh lurking in that river brush, also had LeenK just vibing in there as well on that pink ward. Didn't need the vision to know that there was somebody in there and playing quite wisely just to respect it.
As Haze goes into the bot lane, puts down the minefield. That's a lot of damage. Are you going to flash it? I don't think you want to. Not when you have Gravitum up on the other side. But now going back over to the top side, and you can see there's going to be the Scuttle Crab spawning top lane. Before, LeenK did not get the stack. I believe that was actually Rosethorn getting the coin flip on his side to take that away, which means we're still having a long time before we're going to see that transformation, the power of the 4-stack Kindred.
Of course, as this lane and the game more so goes further and further on. Have to hold it though. Shochi in a bit of trouble maybe.
Just a little bit, getting surrounded, and here comes JayJ as well. Dragoon dives in, Cyclone used, getting a lot of damage. The Death Mark has been put down, the flash away, but the follow-up coming in with the Shadow Surge to pick up first blood. The flash away from Dragoon, he will be alive, but a flash from JayJ too. Getting surrounded, they have a potential fight for Team LeenK, but with Dragoon so low, I don't know if they fully want to commit to the fight. They've got to be careful to getting the fight. Re-engage back on top of him. Nice knock-up to be able to pick up the kill onto LeenK and follow it up with a double kill to Dragoon. Trying to dash away with the decoy, but unfortunately, the Lantern does not give enough of a shield so they can get 3 kills in that fight.
Yeah, they re-engage the 3v4 right there, recognizing that, hey, we may be a member down, but we're still going to be able to take this fight. We've got a Vamp Scepter on Speedo, and he's the member that goes largely untouched in that fight, and he's got the most damage there. Yes, they try and pile all of their damage into Rosethorn, but he's able to stay alive on this Xin Zhao, just utilizing the shields from Rakan, the heal that he provides as well, to keep himself nice and safe. And in that 4v3 on the back half of the fight, Rosethorn's team come out largely on top, generating themselves a nice lead through these early stages.
It seemed nice at first from Team LeenK as well. Get the kill on to Kindred. I don't know if it was a stack on that one, but still, these are big marks to be able to win out on. I appreciate the temp there. Going back to this fight, it was a nice initial start, but the problem was they stayed. They should have backed out of that one, especially with how low Dragoon was. They could not re-engage that one consistently enough when you don't even have the Cyclone available.
No, and now we get to see that looking for this dragon may be a little bit of an overextension, but they're going to start it up anyway. There are 4 members around this bot side here, but with no Mega Inferno Bomb, it looks like that's the sort of go button here to say this is a really big teamfight ulti that they don't have. We're just going to try and pick this one up for ourselves. Successfully so as well. And when you're down this little bit of gold, getting a dragon in the back pocket certainly feels pretty good.
Yeah, especially when you look at where the minion waves are right now, just frozen right outside of the bot lane tower. Mid lane was similar. Pretty easy take for Team LeenK, but Leo is getting bullied in this lane. This is where it starts to get difficult. You want this early on because you can bully Zed. You can constantly shove him back in, but eventually the Zed gets himself his own shadow, can clear out the waves just as effectively as you can, especially with the serrated Dirk already purchased.
Yeah, he's got lethal damage on Leo at pretty much any given moment. Deathmark available, Ignite, not quite ready just yet, but when that comes up, a solo kill, certainly a possibility, particularly with this XP lead as well. Certainly needs to be a little bit careful of a potential gank here. No Shadow means LeenK could go.
Oh, Shadow Surge connected. That's the death mark on top of LeenK, but with the fear too, the damage, they easily take down Shochi.
Really nicely played. Leo holding on to that Shadow Surge and runs on top of LeenK right there to proc the Snap Fear in an instant. Makes sure that he has enough time there to allow LeenK that safety. And now on the bot side, they could go down.
Ooh, that looked a little risky there for Daption. You gotta be a little bit more careful when you're stepping up like that, but thankfully, he's got that supportive damage on his side. When you have Kyle on a Felly's heal too, Exhaust soon to be up for both of the supports, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some intention, especially now that Rosethorn has already grabbed the Eye of the Rift Herald.
Look to see where that is utilized. Of course, a big chunk of gold sat waiting in the inventory here of the Xin Zhao. Wait to see where it does get expended. He's got the top lane, which is doing fairly well on its own. Obviously, Speedo coming out vastly ahead in that top side skirmish. He's going to have a lot of agency over this Wukong, which obviously was picked as the counter to the Graves here, and may well get to see why in later stages. Obviously, Dragoon at present not quite having the damage just yet to go toe-to-toe with Speedo right now. But as we get later and later, oh,
Kyle going aggressive on a Haze there, caught him really low. Could have actually been risky. Had he gone for the ult too, probably would have been death.
Yeah, I think that, again, just maybe a little bit of a lapse in judgment there if you're able to get the ulti off as well. But now Rosethorn,
a flash away, that's going to be a lot of damage, and the Mega Inferno Bomb too. Rosethorn wants to commit to this dive. Easy peasy does it.
Audacious charge to pick up the kill onto Kyle, who stayed just a little too long. Caught out by the roaming Xin Zhao in the jungle. Nicely played, but he might be caught out himself now.
Oh, you gotta commit to the back on that one. You were gone, my friend. You're gone. You got the empowered recall. Just commit. Have some bravery.
Really good hook as well, actually, coming out to just predict the slight movement up. Daption able to find the pickup, and means then that Rosethorn does go down the 2-0 to Xin Zhao now, obviously with his first death. Gold Drinker picked up though, and this is about the point where this top side for Rosethorn's team is going to start to just explode. We've got Immortal Shield Bow picked up, got Gold Drinker picked up as well. These are some really heavy hitting power spikes for the Rosethorn squad, and with the Drake spawning in 1 minute 40, with the Herald still in the inventory, this next couple of minutes could be a big stepping stone for Rosethorn on their journey to getting a strong lead in this mid game.
Now, argument can be made that it was a faster back, right? He's automatically back in base, can buy that Gold Drinker, and once he comes back onto the Rift, it is going to be hard to go toe-to-toe against him, especially when you look at the other side and the lack of mythics across the board. Sure, you can make the argument you got to do 0 Graves, do 1 Xin Zhao. Now, of course, you're going to be able to afford those, but those are big spikes for a team comp that wants to skirmish.
And they want to be fighting within this next sort of window of time, the next set of neutral objectives, when their composition really is going to begin to thrive. As we get later into the game, this sort of death ball composition that LeenK squad have on their side, I tend to favor in the later stages. Now with the hook hitting, could find more.
Oh, Kyle, that is a good amount of damage on top of Haze. Again, each time we see these duels of wits between them, it is always going Kyle's way, and he's even down in that one. There's already the Landry's Anguish on Haze's side.
Yeah, mythic or not, this Aphelios Thresh bot lane still pumps out the damage. Rosethorn going to choose to spend the Herald down here, have got TP to come through from Haze, and rightly calls it up here, going to distribute this gold nicely on the lane that is struggling the most here, really, but it's not to say that they're in a bad position at all. LeenK comes down as well just to shepherd this one.
Grand Entrance gets a lot of damage on top of LeenK, even forces out Lamb's Respite. Shochi waiting it out, Death Mark available, looking for the dive, but gets the exhaust on top of his own head, has to dive away with 2 TPs expended. Low turret about, even getting the flash and kill with the collateral damage coming in from Speedo. Now it's a 4v5, they easily take that down, but unfortunately Dragoon, he got feared the moment he was in, and the dive back in, coming in from Leo, trying to be a hero, but he couldn't do it. It's a kills abound for Team Rosethorn. They only get Shochi in the end.
And as this composition wants to start fighting, they find the perfect dive on the bot lane. Herald plus Ziggs is a brutal turret-taking machine. Rosethorn, they collapse down with 1 TP, and then the roam across from Shochi. 5 for 1 there, Mad Magical. They find everything they could have hoped for. They may well be able to take a dragon off the back of this, but instead, it looks like they're going to be just pillaging the jungle, making sure they get everything that they want for the gold, and then they may still have time to go back for the Drake.
Honestly, this is a great play from Team Rosethorn. How they set that up, even putting the Rift Herald a little bit further behind so that way they can clear out the minions more effectively and wait for the TP setup. Boom, they bait in everyone from Team LeenK into that fight, and it burst them down. They got Lamb's Respite so quickly in that fight that allowed Shochi to then go in with the Death Mark afterwards.
And it's one of those fights that it wasn't a surprise to LeenK squad, right? They called the Herald down and TP'd Haze back into this situation, right? They knew that this fight, this dive was going to start to come through, but still just simply outplaying it and finding themselves an advantage.
Yeah, and with that advantage, it's immediately going to be a dragon for their side. So now they're up, tied 1 apiece, making it easier. And when we see these backs, I'm looking at the items that they're going to be able to purchase off the back of that.
Looks like those mythics that had already been completed now going to be supplemented and maybe start to get those secondary add-ons with the passive. The Last Whisper startup for Speedo likely going to be going into that Mortal Reminder. I'm not too sure of Cyrilda's Grudge with Graves as an item, so have to see what comes to fruition. Nice to see that LeenK is trying to find a bit of a response in the topside jungle, but he might pay for it here as there's a dash coming through, doesn't quite land it, and there's a knock-up. Okay, Lantern stopped.
Oh, that's a little odd blast cone to try to dodge away to make sure that Speedo's not going to be able to get over the wall with the pull back in, but Mega Inferno Bomb doing a lot of damage. Knock up 2, and they dash back in onto LeenK without Lamb's Respite here. Dead meat, easy peasy. They numb down onto the Lamb with a Wukong top lane. Nowhere he can go in this fight. There's going to be Team Rosethorn continuing to own this Rift.
Oh, they're just going to be destroying on this top side here. They've got Ziggs up as well to try and take this turret even faster. And they've just stepped a little too far forward from LeenK's squad. Going into the jungle is a nice thought to try and claim back some lost gold, but it costs you even more on the backside of it. Shochi's able to push in the mid lane. They're able to use Ziggs and Graves as a demolition duo on the top side to take down that turret. And before too long here, Rosethorn has managed to grab themselves a 6k gold lead, and now they're looking for a fight.
Oh, this could be a big pick, though, on to Haze. He's tanking the turret. They've got the kill with the help of the Cyclone. And Speedo, he's getting damage in the flash from Dragoon. But with Kyle backing him up, the flash away. Shadow Surge 2 to follow up with the fear, even though he got a shield. Is going to save your life when they have so much damage on the other side of the charm. The quickness doesn't really help out. Shutdown gifted over to Kyle. It will be JayJ trying to survive, but the Graviton came in clutch to be able to get the root. He's continuing to harass him. Double kills, too, for Kyle.
There we go, a little bit of life now in the LeenK squad. The Aphelios picking up a double kill there, and importantly, a big shutdown onto Speedo that goes into the Aphelios' pocket. Doesn't have his mythic yet, but on next back, he's going to definitely have a lot of gold to be spending. LeenK even moving in now to try and pick up again more lost gold, and with that being picked up, that's a slight side, a slight tilt back into LeenK's favor. Does this mean that they're now in charge of the game? Not quite, but they're in a better position than they were about 30 seconds prior.
And especially getting the gold into Aphelios' pockets, making sure that your late game carry is starting to funnel some of that gold and going to spend it wisely. Looking to see how that is going to be utilized, how they're going to be able to set up now Kyle to continue to try to carry this game.
A lot of pressure going to be on the Aphelios here, but as we look across the rest of LeenK's squad, they have large damage sources coming out of the top side, or coming out of every single role, essentially, as we get later and later into this game. Leo going to be able to function, as you mentioned, as the AP Nocturne, a bit of an assassin onto the backline here of what is essentially just Haze for Rosethorn's squad, because everybody else wants to go deep diving, and that's why the Kindred pick was actually really intuitive, really clever, to just say, hey, you guys are trying to dive onto us, let's make it so that when you dive, none of us can actually die if we're all positioned correctly. And once you've got Aphelios Kindred as 2 late game hyper carries trying to dish out damage, you're going to be very hard pressed to find a duo that can match that.
Shochi getting a good trade onto LeenK, but knew that someone was there in the wings. Death Mark used, weird slams for Spite to keep you safe. You got Immortal Shield, but there it is, barely going to be able to help stay alive. The Gale Force utilized by Kyle, but could not get close enough. Shochi, and all the while mid lane being threatened by Team Rosethorn. The dive too, quickness, pop, knock up with the grand entrance, and boom goes the dynamite to easily pick up the kill with the turret too. Dragoon, he's exhausted, they got the pull back in, but do you want to continue this fight? You've got Haze right where you want him. He's low, but they cannot continue the chase.
So 1-0 in the end, and they get the turret. Another big advantage goes over to the Rosethorn squad, and a little bit of an overcommit on the top side by LeenK to try and pick up that kill onto the top side member. Doesn't quite come to fruition. Shochi able to get out to safety, and the rest of the team collapse in the mid lane, find a lot of gold as well, able to once again take down Leo on this Vex, who hasn't really had the greatest chances to find success in this game just yet, and putting the Vex down even further is a very good sign. And now with Kyle in a little bit of trouble on this top side, he's surely going to go down.
Oh no, there's no way you survive this. Not with the Gale Force picked up, and you can see that he knew too.
Moonlight Vigil there to throw some style points out. Wisely saves the heal as well, just to make sure that he's got that for the next fight, when he may well be able to live from this situation. But summoning the Rift Herald as well now on the top side with these inner turrets providing a lot of gold here. It looks like Rosethorn's going to be the one who's trying to be the recipient of that. Looks like with the Mountain Dread, LeenK should be able to prevent that from going down though. So overall, a somewhat wasted Herald, honestly. When you have an AD carry death and you have an advantage on the map, it's going to be a little bit awkward to not get a turret from that, but what they are doing is leveraging this into another mid kill.
Well, I was about to say, they've got the setup here onto Leo, even if it goes golden, to survive a long time with the satchel charge and a killing spree for Rosethorn too. LeenK dashing back towards his team. Lamb's fight still off a while till the cooldown is back. The quickness popped, but not going to dive in. JayJ's waiting it out with the huge health bars on the other side and using the Cyclone too. That's going to be collateral damage, not picking up the kill, but instead the flash away from JayJ to get away from Dragoon. They've got one, but at least it's better than none.
Okay, so picking up a quick kill here. They need to be careful. Shochi's behind them.
Woo! That damage in from Shochi too, with the death mark put on, and that explosive bomb too. Everyone's falling. Shochi, the flank of a lifetime there. Dragoon, the final victim in the fight.
And deja vu for LeenK. They find a numbers advantage in the map, and then they extend just a little too far forward, get caught out by an advantageous position. This time it's Shochi who comes in and rights the ships for Rosethorn's squad, able to find a big flank.
Oh, this is just an easy kill. That's pretty much it. As the AP Nocturne, you see that one, you're like, all right, this is a free kill. I can fear him for long enough for that. He's not escaping this time.
Nice bit of redemption for Leo here, able to pick up that quick kill. Nice shutdown as well off the back of that big fight that Shochi was able to find this big bounty on his head. An extra 450 gold for that kill is going to feel very good for Leo, particularly since he's just spent that stopwatch and definitely wants a Zhonya's, the trademark Z counter item, to try and sustain in the 1v1 between the mid laners. But by and large, at the minute, Rosethorn squad coming out largely ahead. They've got a big gold lead. They're going to lead in neutrals, the turrets, everything. Any possible metric you could look to measure is in their favor. And for LeenK, they need to try and stall this game out as long as possible and wait for these hyper carries to come fully online.
And I'm curious how many stacks LeenK is at as well on this Kindred. I would assume it's got to be at least 5 by now.
You're hoping so. At this stage in the game, right? Oh, this could be one of those really espresso depresso games where it's just a 2-stack Kindred at like 21 minutes into the game. It's 5.
True.
Oh, you got it right. Well done. Nice.
Oh, hey, there we go. Just kind of extrapolating like what with the marks I saw take and what I would assume with the kills too, because I know not all of them were actually marked when LeenK had gotten them. I'm actually a little surprised by that.
Hey, know what? You give yourself a pat on the back, honestly, because that takes a level of analysis that clearly is superior to mine at this stage. And for the time being, at the very least, this Kindred not lived up to the highest. Okay, AP Nocturne.
AP Nocturne, and even if you go golden because you have a Zonias, you're dead. Kill, shut down 2 for LeenK, but all the while, what's going on in the top lane? Shochi gets that turret that was taken so low, and now they are the ones with control around this quadrant.
The 600 goals goes into Shochi's pockets as we see JayJ just about able to get out to safety.
Okay, no. You don't want to go for this fight. Where's the Lambs Spike? Gotta come in. There's no death mark to worry about. The Cyclone gets the flash away, but the follow-up with the Baron. Are you going to utilize the Baron to help you out? He doesn't, but he doesn't need it because he got the kill. And now Rosethorn, it looks like Dragoon's just getting lucky every single time he goes into a fight. A new target arises, scares off Rosethorn, but all the while, we're at the Baron time. It's an easy turn and pivot.
Yeah, 2 AD carries melt this Baron. Now Rosethorn is still alive. We're going to have Haze coming through as well.
No, they're just turning. This was all a bait. They've got the fear, and now they could go back onto the Baron. Rinse, repeat. Speedo on the other side. Haze here too with a big bomb, not available. They've got to see if they can burn this down, but you could tell that team Rosethorn understood there was no fight necessary.
Really nice pickup for LeenK here. They're able to collect themselves the Baron in a game where it really looked like they shouldn't be able to. You can see they're still down in gold. They're still down across the map, but that Baron is a very good stall tactic. We were asking for them to be able to stall out the game. This buys them effectively 6 minutes where Rosethorn can't really push their advantage.
Well, and now Speedo is looking like he's going to be the target all the while. Kyle fighting with Haze, another 1v1 duel, even if the turret is taken on the other side. Speedo trying to get away from LeenK. The 5 stacks gives a lot of extra range. The dash 2 is helping out and slow with a big old shield, but it's going to be only LeenK who continue this chase. Where's the rest of your team, buddy? Even if you're getting a lot of damage on Speedo and getting the shutdown underneath the turret, it's a huge play. They've lost at least Aphelios in the mid lane, but the fact that a 1v2 works out for Team LeenK is going to be critical.
And they've got a big wave down here with the Baron that they can potentially push in with. Oh no, Daption.
Yeah, Daption too early on the play. He was trying to see if he could predict the audacious charge, and unfortunately,
and Shochi's flanking as well.
Shochi, though, I don't think has the death mark, so they're going to fall back from the fight, having committed and gotten 2 for 1 across the board.
Yeah, I forgot the Baron recall is actually going to be pretty useful right there for LeenK, able to just sneakily get out to safety. On the top side here, Leo able to pick himself up a turret, a lot of kill, a lot of minions, and some nice experience as well. So clawing his way back into this game, back to a point of relevance up against Shochi, who's been having some really nice flanks, really nice picks as well. Kyle unfortunately falling short in the 1 versus 1 up against a Zed, which we can't really blame him for. It's Aphelios versus Zed, but at the end of the day, you know, going down in that instance does cost the team a little bit here. When we look at what they have achieved with this Baron so far, it's 1 turret on the top side, and in terms of structures taken with Baron, that's not the highest margin that you'd want to be going for.
But at this point, they have pivoted away from Kyle being the carry. It is now LeenK, the carry, 9 and 4 on this Kindred, and they've got JayJ to go golden. The follow-up, though, picks up the kill. Nicely done out of Team LeenK, setting up around this mid lane.
Kyle playing that beautifully right there, uses the sniper to find the kill that looks like was going to be left untouched, and now with Dragoon posturing aggressively, they could find another fight.
Or is it Rosethorn the one posturing aggressively, going out without the team to flash away too? It looks like there's so many flashes to play it a little bit more defensively, but with the Dragon about to spawn, it could be the second one for Team LeenK, or Kyle. It could be soul point potential. A lot of damage onto Kyle, but he takes a lantern. He'll be okay for now.
Able to sidestep out of that collateral damage and then use the lantern to get out of deathmark range there. Tight margins by a small metric, but able to find the Drake kill as well and not losing your Aphelios there. Certainly pretty beneficial over to LeenK's side. Baron about over and done with for now. Dragoon may be able to take down this bot lane tier 1 turret, and as we can see on the map, will be able to do so. LeenK is on a journey in the jungle right now.
Oh, and look at that flank onto JayJ, even with the quickness. Nice play, but it's going to be the grand entrance. Enough the
red
burn,
buff.
though! Red buff!
Well done, MB. MVP ticks come through. LeenK finds himself 1 quick pickup. Zig's now able to look to defend this turret, but those bouncing bombs falling a little bit too short. And this is 2 turrets down on the bot side here. LeenK and the squad starting to dial it up here in terms of their map pressure, in terms of their damage as well. These are a 3-item Kindred, very scary. 2 items on your Aphelios right now, but as you talked about, they've pivoted away from Kyle needing to be the hyper carry, because as we talked about earlier on, they've got damage from every other role.
Exactly. They had the double marksman on their side, Kindred and Aphelios. If the Aphelios isn't working out, you easily got the Kindred. 10 and 4 now on this Kindred. 3 items completed, working towards that 4th one. And you look across the other side, Rosethorn, he's got a stopwatch in inventory. Sure, you can make the argument it's the OP combo of Gore Drinker Sterix that they've got built up already, but I'd much rather take the Kindred.
So would I, and I think that when we get into the hard teamfight situations, because we haven't really seen one of those yet. It's been a lot of scrappy skirmishes. We haven't really seen an all-out 5 versus 5 outside of that bot lane dive, and that was the position when we were saying, hey, Rosethorn's squad are just simply stronger by nature of the draft. But now on the bot side, Speedo caught.
He's got himself caught out, but he's got a Bloodthirst, knock up with the Cyclone, and they just burn him down to pick up a kill for Dragoon.
Yeah, and I love this pickup of the Lord Dominic's Regard as well, able to find the damage up against these higher HP targets, right? The Bloodthirster as well going to be acting as a bit of a pseudo counter here, that the temporary HP as opposed to the permanent HP that more health items would give you. Yeah, go ahead.
Look at what LeenK has in the inventory to counter that Bloodthirster. So much for your healing if you're not even going to get it.
Exactly right. This 60% healing reduction that the Kindred now has is absolutely devastating to the Graves. We got to see it firsthand right there, that sometimes Graves is just the most obnoxious champion to try and kill, but when he's got 60% healing reduction on him, that's just not the case.
Oh, and you got all this gold funneled into your Kindred. They're spiking, they're happy, and you look across the map too, and things are starting to come up Team LeenK's way. The skirmishing for Team Rosethorn might have gotten them that initial lead, but with this team fight prowess that Team LeenK had drafted for themselves, it is getting more and more difficult for Team Rosethorn to find those flanks.
And at this point, it's when we I'd like to start to see Rosethorn try and adopt their strategy. The 5v5 isn't going to work for them. Let's send people off to the side lanes. Let's try and find these maybe flank maneuvers, as Shochi is late game on this Zed, and he's actually a very scary champion, but LeenK is just flying forward.
I was just saying, LeenK is also late game, and it is a scary proposition to contend against, because you can't really burst down at that Kindred unless you can pop Lamb's Respite first, then get the death mark on top of it, but then you're leaving Kyle alone. It's such a tricky situation to find yourself in if you're Team Rosethorn.
They've got push over the mid lane here, though, LeenK. Looks like they're able to wrest control of this and maybe take down a tier 1. LeenK is just battering away, though.
But he gets pushed back away. They've got the damage in the back line. It's going to go with this Kyle. LeenK trying to help out, but Shochi was able to get the kill onto Leo, then turned around to buy a nice charge. And they're trying to see if they can get more. They're going to be able to get 1. Look for Rosethorn. It should be 2. Make it 3 if they can follow it up. Finally, they take down a double kill, and Speedo, being the only surviving member of the entire fight, gets slowed down. The chase will come in. The ace is soon to follow, and Team LeenK have Baron in their sights.
They have too much damage here. Rosethorn just can't contest this. The LeenK squad had damage coming out of every single roll. Shochi diving into the backline, manages to find 1, and yes, they're able to take down Kyle in the back end as well, but you still can't take down the Kindred. You still can't take down the Wukong. You expended so many resources elsewhere in the fight for this Lamb's Respite to reset it and to put you in a terrible position. The Baron now going to be going down, and LeenK's side have firm control of this one.
LeenK, slow it down, slow it down. You got a few seconds. Slow your roll, slow your roll.
Get it on your team.
Slow your roll. Leo's got it. All right, no.
Oh. Reported.
So close to getting Kyle having it too. Oh, they could have waited.
Dragoon, LeenK even hopped off the Baron. He was like, hold on, we got to wait for our AD carry here, lad. Like, let's make sure that we get it on all 5 members. And then Dragoon's like, nope, me hit Baron. It go down.
He is playing the monkey after all. But
exactly.
The thing is, an argument could be made. It's very unlikely Kyle will ever be alone. So, it's not super necessary to have that. As now, you're going for a base race, essentially, a pseudo base race, taking yourself that third dragon on Team LeenK, but you've lost 1 tower, 2 towers. That's a huge minion wave still right behind them, too.
Yeah, they're challenging them, saying, hey, you want to fight us, you've got to come and contest us on this wave, and they're going to do that.
Oh, Kyle kiting back, getting a route onto JayJ, but JayJ was clever on that one, making sure to battle dance back. But with that minion wave that I was talking about right behind them, they take another turret. Rosethorn dove in with the audacious charge, but even with the combo, you're not strong enough to survive all the damage, and they can follow that up. Haze, he's golden, but Haze, he's not going to be for much longer, even with Lamb's Respite helping him out. They've got 2 easy kills for Leo. Speedo, again, we've seen this before, being the sole survivor of the team. The Shadow Surge, did it connect? I don't think it did, but Leo doesn't doesn't even care. He's posturing like he wants to go for the dive underneath the fountain, end this game. The team fight worked out for them. The fear is there. Speedo taking a hell of a lot of damage, even inside of the fountain. But unfortunately, they cannot pick up that final kill. But it doesn't matter when you have the game locked in like you do for Team LeenK. The flash in from Leo. I respect the hell out of this play, but it couldn't happen at the very end.
No, that's going to be it then. LeenK able to turn the game back around. The screen at the end shows that it's just the end. The classic spectator bugs, but a really nice team fighting composition drafted and well executed as well. They sort of challenged them saying, you want to take that dragon in the end game? We're going to take your turrets, we're going to take your structures. And in the end, when they challenged for the fight, they weren't able to win it. So LeenK able to turn that one back around. The strong fighting team with the Baron at their backs is very hard to challenge.
It is, and that's the thing. With this early lead Team Rosethorn had, it was a great draft in skirmish potential, how early they got ahead, and we saw that. The problem was, then you're facing this mountain you've now got to climb without any gear to actually do that, because all they have to do is consistently team fight, and as long as one of those team fights worked out for them, it's all going to be perfect for Team LeenK.
And that's all that it was. They found themselves the one team fight that they were able to win, and from then on in, it looked pretty difficult for Rosethorn's squad, as it was, weren't able to take this one away. So a really nice turnaround, and with the draft as well, them sort of saying that they got this counter pick of the Wukong in the top lane, the lane that honestly we didn't see too much out of early on. But overall, the role that Dragoon was able to play, setting up these team fights, finding the engages for the squad, and being that front line that was just so obnoxious to cut through, really set up for this double backline of ADCs to just tear through the squad.
And that it did. It tore right through Team Rosethorn. We're going to toss to a break. When we come back, our analysts will break down that game further, so don't go anywhere.
All right, welcome back. What a game two. I'm sorry, game one in the series. I think it was really interesting. Definitely a lot of really interesting team fights, and I think decision making overall. But I'm gonna let the people that are a little bit more intelligent than I talk about this. So Pukar, Kelsey, what do we see there?
Yeah, we saw a lot of interesting skirmishes towards the end of the game. We saw the compositional advantage, I believe, that we noted during draft, that even though the blue team was down quite a bit in gold, probably like 5,000 to 6,000 in gold, they lost both heralds, lost a lot of side lane towers. They're able to regain composure and fight their way back into this game around mid-wave and the objectives. And
just to talk a little bit about that early game, because this was a banger, right? I think we started out talking about, like, would a game like this close to a shutout be useful for scouting? It's like, we need to go at least 30 minutes, man. And then we definitely came all the way back. So big shout out. I think the big turning point was, despite Daption getting the wave in early and making a really strong early roam, they set up a play in the topside jungle and got a pick off, but then continued the chase into Graves AoE, which is never what you want to do. And nullifying that range advantage that Kindred has that we highlighted initially at the start of the game. So that kind of snowballed the advantage from there. Unfortunately, in some of the early fights, I felt like we saw some late ults from LeenK, but as the game went on, I think he kind of became the hero of the story, right? So much burst coming out of the blue side team, and then getting much better at the reaction from his ults, thinking more cohesively about the compositions. Obviously, all of these players are not used to playing together, so being able to adapt and understand, okay, I have to protect my Aphelios from the Ziggs magic damage, and that's going to win us the game when we're able to control the side of the jungle and force them to face check into us. Really great kind of adaptation throughout the game from the red side team. So happy to continue watching the series. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it will be a really fun one, and I think we'll continue to be surprised by what we do see. I mean, if we know anything about these show matches, it's we always have our perceptions going into it, but what actually ends up happening sometimes tends to be completely different. Pukar, during that game, was there anything in the in lane phase or early game that surprised you from any of the players?
Well, I mean, Kelsey mentioned it very briefly, but Daption was able to, break out a lane early, and that's something you can do in this Thresh versus Rakan matchup, where you can force the first reset, get onto map first. Unfortunately, it did not work with the top lane matchup, so that's something we discussed that I would like to see maybe a better top lane matchup for Dragoon or whoever's on this side of the matchup. Like, if you have that support first roam, get a better matchup, get the support in there. Maybe you get a lead a little bit earlier in the game. You don't have to drag it to 30 minutes. Other than that, we saw a lot of more action in this mid lane. We had the Zed playing really aggressive against the Vex. I'd like to see more of those matchups, more of the aggressive matchups from the mid laners. They have great champion pools for fighting and skirmishing each other. Paired with these two junglers that love to fight, love to pick these champions to contest each other in the jungle. That's what I want to see more of in this series.
Yeah, and in terms of the solo matchups, I can see the logic from like both of the picks there. The Zed into Vex, obviously Vex has to go short range and very easy setup for, doesn't have a lot of mobility, very easy setup for Zed as an assassin, but as soon as you start picking up the Zonias, Zed feels so much less useful in the context of the game. And you also have the Kindred ulti, so Zed being picked early just didn't work out for them. But the Wukong, I will definitely challenge a bit. I think okay, extending the fights, being able to all in the range champion, very useful, but Wukong doesn't do that great into like AoE burst. He wants more extended fights and trading. So I will say, if there's a greatest first pick, again, there's a pick in Dragoon's wheelhouse that I would love to see, which is the Mordekaiser. And maybe he's not as practiced on it lately, but I have a feeling he can pick it out. It would be great in that composition. A lot of shorter range champs going in there, and I'd love to see just that kind of thoughtfulness from him and that ability to showcase what he's good at for the quote-unquote scouts are watching, etc.
Awesome. I appreciate the breakdown, both of you, and I'm really excited to see how the side of Team Dragoon might change up their draft plan going into Game 2 here. But with that being said, we're gonna throw it to break, and when we come back, we'll be ready to break down the draft for all of you and prepare for Game 2. See you soon.
So hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, oh, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of a world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high. And we all fight at the last Hearing voices from afar, join the madness when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day, we must attack. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of a world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high. And we all fight at the Can we bring to fall the giants? 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 We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of a world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high. And we all fight at the
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. The draft for the next game has started, and we are setting up a Tryndamere ban. A little bit of a big surprise there, but we've definitely seen the team swap, and we know that we've got some good Tryndamere players on both sides. Shochi spamming it. We've also, so it's a takeaway. He's shown that he's willing to bring out the Zed, so why not the Tryndamere? And of course, you were talking, Pukar, a little bit about how you expected the Yuumi ban as well.
Yeah, I mean, we see the teams following a similar strategy to last game one, where we see some target bans, Yuumi, Karthus. We also see LeBlanc and Lee Sin being banned on blue side, which means there's a bunch of mid laners off the board for now. It's interesting to see what champions will be left up for first pick here. There's a lot of strong ones left, like both AD carries.
And of course, the Darius ban again. So Team Rosethorn not changing their bans at all despite the side switch. I'm wondering if we're going to see the Graves first pick again or something a little bit different off the board. Now, there it is, right there. Both sides loving the Graves first pick. When you see the Graves first pick, what do you immediately want to see happening, Bukar?
I want to see a special champion pick, but I don't know if Speedo plays that champion. Against the Graves first pick, I mean, I want to see you outrange this champion, and it'd be easy to do it with like a misfortune pick or potentially a different mid laner. I'm not sure if that pick was missed though.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, I'm looking for some AP to avoid the passive armor.
Right.
So like some good AoE, long range, all those stuff. All those things are great versus Graves first pick. I feel like when Graves was popular in jungle last year, people eventually got pretty wise to how to counter it with range champs, like some Nidalees and things of that nature. So I'm hoping we see. Are we sure what the red first pick was? Nope,
Okay.
no problem. Anyways, Zinzao into Graves, not my favorite matchup. You can easily flex the Graves into jungle and be vibing a bit, but...
Yeah, I don't expect Dragoon to be playing this Graves in top lane, which made the first pick kind of interesting for this team. I know LeenK definitely plays the Graves, but normally its priority in jungle is a lot lower, so I'm interested to see how they round out the rest of their picks around that sort of knowledge.
With the Lucian, so that kind of to me indicates Lucian bottom. We already talked a little bit about how Lucian is high priority. Both of these ADs, both Vex and Kyle, so wasn't banned this time around. Very happy to snap that up, but we don't see it with a Nami, so a little bit of a less of a bully lane. And okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, so the
R1 as MF for stream viewers, just so that you're up to date on that.
Yeah, so likely we round out the top 3 picks for both teams with jungle and then bot lane with Lucian Leona versus MF Braum for these teams. So we can see some bans targeting the solo laners most likely from each side.
Braum is a fantastic pick here. Great into all 3 of the picks that we're showing already. You know that the support has been blinded. And also it works very well with both of the picks on red side as well. The Zin and the MF going in. I mean, Graves is just gonna... Braum is just gonna nullify the AoE, nullify the on-hit damage, and do wonders for his auto attackers so far. I like the set ban. I'm wondering... though what that might be setting up.
I would expect a set ban to lead into a potential Irelia or possibly a Camille pick, maybe on 4 here to hide the pick until 5. It could just be a general ban to allow Shochi to pick on 4 and then give Speedo the R5 to be a little bit safer.
I see set and cinder bands. I'm thinking mages, and especially since they need some AP, maybe because LeBlanc's banned, where we are setting up an Ori or
Rise is still open for both
Rise.
teams.
Rise, I don't care as much about set though, so I'm curious what we're looking at here. The Vex is banned. Maybe Galio would be something that I would expect from this kind of setup. Or
it's a lot of we see the Kennen finally locked in, which definitely helps us along in this draft period where there's a lot of options out there on 4. But the Kennen, I don't believe the Kennen is too afraid of the set, but it does allow a little bit more room in the early game against some of Dragoon's potential champion picks into it.
I think again because we aren't going to play Graves jungle with Lucian, necessarily. We're more anticipating the Kennen being a top lane pick, which is good into the all-in champions that we see. And then, of course, blue team double downs into the all-in, so got a lot of that going on. And then some Rise for a nice change of pace here. So we are confirming more or less the Lucian, Leona bottom, Olaf jungle, and Graves top. Obviously, if you're Fnatic, you might be doing the Graves jungle and the Olaf top, but it's a pretty safe assumption that that's what's going on here.
Yeah, I'm happy to see Dragoon play a champion that maybe Red Side didn't expect him to play with the Graves. I don't know how much he's been playing this in solo queue or potentially scrims in private, but he's playing it right here in the AoE showdown. So let's see what comes out for R5 for Rosethorn's team. They're hovering Cassiopeia, and they lock it in. That's double AP for Rosethorn's team.
And once again, I'm just loving the drafting on red side this game. I think they're thinking intelligently about the picks that are coming out on blue side and red. And obviously, it's a different team on red side this game, but the counter picks are being very, very high value in the series so far. You have Kennen to all the short range all-in champions. You have, in fact, I already forgot the last. Oh, Cassio.
Yep.
Right? It's Cassio into the Rise, which is an old school matchup. Obviously, the Rise starts winning later on, but Cassio has been a bit underrated, especially with some of the tank build that's been popping up. He does very well into short range all-in champs as well. So, looking forward to watching how Blue Side tried to play around this drafting from Red Side again.
Yeah, Red Side has a lot of range advantage, and if they get set up in an area, whether it's an objective or a lane, it's going to be really hard for Blue Side to break through it. Not only because they can't really flank into it with the champions I have, but approaching it head on is pretty much an impossible task. Luckily, Blue Side has some tools in the early game to maybe swing this game around with the Rise, who could potentially impact the jungle or side lane pretty early in the game. But we're going to see a lot of fighting in this game, I bet, because a lot of these champions really want to fight each other. And I know that blue team is not going to go down just staring at their keyboards. They're going to want to challenge this team, even if their champions may not be the best matchups against the red sides.
And Rise is going to be saving grace of this particular game. If you can get an advantage in a side lane, then you can avoid some of this team fight counter that is available from Rosethorn's team. They don't have the most solid of engages. They're relying on Sin with Braum follow-up and then the Kennen flank. So they have a lot of engage options, but they're a lot happier if you phase check into them. But you don't have to do that if you're keeping up your solo lane prio and making sure you're rotating to objectives first with numbers advantage. So that's what I'm mostly going to look here. That is harder to execute in an in-house with a lot of players that aren't used to playing together, but I'm looking for some solid comms coming out from some of these more experienced members to see the game through.
Yeah, it brings us to a similar picture that was painted during game one, where blue side picks a sort of more difficult to execute, more timing based, really have to hit your specific windows of opportunity really well, otherwise the game might slip away really quickly, while red side has a much easier setup where they can kind of just sit, I don't want to say ARAM a little bit, but just sit, set up, wait for the enemy team to come and contest them, and if they do, they have a really good shot at just wiping them pretty easily.
All right, thank you, Cooper. I'll let you finish off once again, and we will transition to either the game delay and then the casters to take us into game 2.
Hello, hello, welcome back. We are on the Rift for our second game in this show matchup between Team LeenK, who are now on the blue side, Team Rosethorn over on the red side. And, you know, we were talking, Rude Dude, between the break. We really do like these drafts. These are going to be some spicy drafts, especially when we look towards the bot lane.
Exactly. Yeah, we didn't get to see we saw that Misfortune came through earlier on, and we were sort of like theorizing why the Braum had come through at that R3 marker. Obviously, with the pairing of Misfortune needed to be picked then for fear of it being banned away. But this time round, we have a lot more aggressive looks for both of the AD carries and the supports here, because we've obviously got we have got roaming supports, but these are two ADCs that this time are facilitated by the supports. They want to have that agency in these early stages, and I imagine Rosethorn and LeenK alike might well look to make something happen on this bot side. As we get later on, though, because for the moment, we've got a bit of a stack here by LeenK squad. 3 people sat in the pixel brush, and there is a ward to spot this all out, so hopefully this doesn't amount to anything, but it looks like there's going to be some forced...
I got a bit of a late invade coming in. Will be completely spotted out by Team Rosethorn, so won't actually have anything really come from it, but they are committing to take the red buff nonetheless.
It looks like it's just going to be picked up for free here. Now, there is a price to be paid, a cost here, and it's at Kyle's expense. He's not going to be able to particularly step up to the bot lane wave for the time being. But you'll notice that Rosethorn actually plays this really wisely, takes away his Raptors as well, and just says, hey, you're not allowed to get a hold of those. I'm not going to let you take all of my top jungle. And instead, with this information being relayed over, obviously, LeenK moves his way down and wants them, says, hey, okay, the Zinzao started here, so they know we were there, actually. The jig was, in fact, up, and now they're going to move back to the standard laning on bot side.
Well, we get a little bit of an aggressive movement coming in from both supports. A lot of damage onto both of their heads, but none of it will really amount to too much. But I've got to say, I really do like that play coming in from Team LeenK. Not only do they get the red buff, but spotting out that the Raptors had been taken, we saw a beeline coming in from LeenK, immediately moving down to make sure they can absolutely get that triple buff start.
And particularly with the mid lane matchup as well, there's no chance, no opportunity for Shochi to push that wave in and try and force the aggression so that there's that counter invade opportunity. This Ryze has the opportunity in the early stages to just force his Cassio under turret, make her life a bit of misery, honestly, to begin with, and make sure that it is a 3 buff that comes through for LeenK to begin with. So a very nice start off to this game, and that's what LeenK needs here. The squad we're looking at, they need to try and put a little bit of their foot to the floor in this early stage of the game, because we were talking, as you mentioned, about these drafts, and we're particularly in love with the Cassiopeia pick.
Yes, I love Cassiopeia into Ryze. Got Kennen on top of it too, Braum, Bullet Time, all these things that really just add up on the side of Team Rosethorn. But the thing is, it's really that Cassiopeia that ties it together, because the miasma, being able to stop a Graves, a Lucian, a Leona, and even the Ryze from doing too much because how low range they all are.
Yeah, exactly. This Cassio is going to be able to fire out those Twin Fangs pretty much at will. Everybody's going to be in range, and of course that is a double-edged sword for the Cassio, because, you know, you can be dishing out the damage, but likelihood is that you're in range to be taking it as well. So we'll have to see how reliable he is on picking up those Twin Fangs and keeping himself safe at the same time. And I'm curious to see what build we opt into, or what build Shochi opts into, because there have been sort of smatterings, rumors of the sort of tank, quote-quote, Cassiopeia build, where you still go for the tier, as we can see with the starter, you opt into the Rift Maker, but you essentially act as an old-school Vladimir, where you just vamp your way through everybody, picking up heal after heal, with the Conqueror stacking up, maybe going for a Frozen Heart here as his second or third item, has insane value versus the triple AD members. And if we see some tanky opportunity, or tanky options in those items for Shochi, I definitely want to see that opportunity for the Cassio.
Yeah, the APA special there with the Cassiopeia build. Would definitely love to see that. But, you know, there are so many good builds with Cassiopeia. It will all really depend on that first spec to see what Shochi's going to grab. But right there, Leo, getting a pretty good trade still into Shochi, keeping this Cassiopeia pinned underneath the turret, because, as you had said, until Cassiopeia can really get some of those items built up, the wave clear just isn't there just yet.
And especially since Leo had already managed to find an opportunity to reset, forcing, even just with the tier in the inventory and the extra corrupting potion advantage that was there, that was enough to have an advantageous trade, because you can just force very aggressively and then use your corrupting potions to tick back up, as Dragoon on this top side looking for his own aggressive trade.
You know, gotta be careful there. He was able to get the stun the moment the TP had completed out of Dragoon, but he still took a pretty bad beating on the front side of that. Even though we will see that Speedo can easily recall, TP back into the lane, not really going to lose out too much, but it's always this pressure, the Graves, the neutralizing factor, pushing in these waves over and over again, and making so that no one could really do anything to stop him.
Remember, until fairly late on in the draft, we didn't really know where any of these champions were going on LeenK's side either, as another dash forward spells the start of another aggressive trade by Dragoon. Not finding the stun here, Speedo. There we go. Finally able to find a bit of a retaliation there. But Rosethorn's team were operating under a lot of uncertainty during the draft as well. This Kennen pseudo-blind to sort of say, hey, we don't quite know what you're picking up there just yet. We'll take this as an answer. As now we're seeing Shochi with that recall, couple amp tomes in his back pocket. He's able to look for some trades of his own.
Now, starting to get towards that level 9 when you get the full max on Twin Fang is going to be really difficult to actually do much to. But it was a Dragon attempted by Rosethorn. The only problem was the bot lane wasn't as pushed in as they had thought it was initially. Especially with Illusion, how quickly he can get control back of any lane that is left unopposed in the bot lane meant that it was a risky fight, and that's why Team Rosethorn pieced out of there and said, no, we're not ready for this fight. Not just yet. We got to get some of these items, especially when their Cassiopeia was so low on mana.
And it's nice to see this tempered aggression as well, just to say, you know, we wanted to go for this Drake, but they have the willingness and the ability to recognize that it's just a doomed fight if they try and look for it. So they back away, they get out to safety and don't lose anybody for it, lose a little bit of control of their bot lane wave, but they're happily able to collect those minions, keep that lead pretty neutral right now. Nobody particularly amounting advantages that we have to speak of just yet. And for the time being, we go back to those more generic laning assignments, with Speedo maybe feeling a little bit worse for wear on the top side, with this mid lane being a bit of a ping-pong yo-yo effect of who's pushing in who, and starting to see just where these leads are starting to be amassed.
But you know, Rude Dude, Kennen is like Orianna to me. I love these champions because how consistent they are. Doesn't matter if they end up running it down in the top lane, in the mid lane. All that's really important is you get these good ults in these fights, and then you really get the power coming in from these champions. It's not the old on-hit build that we saw from Kennen of old. This is going to be far more that AP bursting kind of top laner, really joining. I saw that too, the red buff accidentally getting the blue buff away from Shochi. And now Shochi, maybe a little bit upset, petrifying gates. That was nice. Look at the damage. The culling though, right behind. Body block coming in from Daption, tried to keep him alive. I mean, JJ, my bad. The flash away, but the collateral damage picks up the kill. He does not escape, and neither does Rosethorn. 2 kills for Team LeenK.
Wow, and it's LeenK's team that are able to transition that fight into the Drake as well here. 2 kills for themselves. First neutral objective goes into their back pocket. And it's the roam from Dragoon on the top side that amounts first blood. Collateral damage comes from downtown and picks up the quick kill there. A little bit of miscommunication though between Rosethorn's squad. We saw Petrifying Gaze land onto Leo, but there was no follow-up with the Winter's Bite landing onto the support. And then we've seen it already so much at World's International event. Don't pile everything onto the Aftershock Leona, and unfortunately that is what causes Rosethorn's squad to be a little bit hard done by there.
It was honestly a really good start too from Team Rosethorn. Double Petrifying Gaze, because it also was able to get Daption in it all. So at first you're like, yeah, this is going to be great. But like you said, it was the follow-up. What happened after? It was a great flank from Kyle to make sure that now JayJ has to focus on the backliner, who's going to body block with the shield up. But then Leo is completely left untouched too, and they're all focusing on a Leona. It doesn't really work out so well.
And there was, I think there's a level advantage between the ADCs as well coming into that fight, with Kyle able to just fly in with the culling and Haze not having the opportunity to fire down a bullet time in response. It's these slight little advantages that all added up. And overall, it's not been too detrimental to LeenK squad. We can see that the gold lead is smaller than the advantage of 2 kills. Exhaust goes down. Kyle should be fine.
Is he though? He had to flash away. Okay. He saw the writing on the wall. Rosethorn was nearby. Now he's trying to kite it back. Where's the wind becomes lightning. He's going to dash in with an audacious charge, but where's your team? Why are you trying to go in by yourself there?
Well, that's a question that will have to be answered at a later date here, because for the time being, Kyle finds himself an extra kill, 2-0-1 now on this Lucian, a champion that thrives with early game power, and now with the Gale Force components, or Kraken Slayer components, have to say. Okay, dive mid.
Cheeky right there, trying to get on top of Shochi, but waiting it out. Where's the Petrifying Gaze? 3-man, but with Ragnarok on.
That's not quite going to be enough there, and as the dive looks to come through successfully for LeenK, bit of response by Rosethorn's squad to see if they can find anything. Looks like the Raptor is going to go over to the Xin Zhao, but doesn't look like there should be anything else from this situation. Speedo blast cones over the wall onto a control ward, and that is going to be the end of the play. Culling down on the bot side.
Oh, it looks like Haze, though. Fancy footwork. Thanks for taking up there. The internet kind of cutting out a bit, unfortunately. Bullet time used too by Haze, just to scare away Kyle from committing fully for a dive. It would have been risky out of Kyle, but I think it's also nice to use that just to make sure no plates fall either.
Exactly, keeping your, well, not necessarily your lead, but given the kills that have gone over already to Kyle, but keeping that lead at a minimum for the Lucian for the time being. And I want to pause it. Oh, okay, never mind. He did buy a stopwatch right there. I actually sold it and gone back for a Cloak of Agility instead. But not getting too much of an advantage out of that bot-sided play, as you mentioned. Nice fancy feat to make sure that Haze doesn't go down to the culling. But once again, Kyle finds himself with a long early game advantage and maybe in trouble once more, as nice warding coming out. Just good presence of mind.
Exactly. He saw what happened last time. He knew what was up. He's like, okay, don't see Braum, something's up. Rosethorn's probably here too, so with all that bot lane pressure that was absorbed by Kyle with just that singular ward, a nice Rift Herald pushed into the mid lane.
Yeah, it's not his first rodeo, able to weather that storm. Again, with the Herald falling in that mid lane, couple plates go over to the Rise, but look at the rotation already. 3 people up on this top side once again. Ah, yeah, easy as you like. Speedo just falls, and you know, true damage from the axe, pretty hard to avoid. Speedo holds on to the slicing Maelstrom as well, recognizes that there's really not a lot that you can do versus an Olaf that's trying to dive you like that, particularly when the health pool still so high. Really good rotations by LeenK squad in this early game. You know, last game even, they weren't looking this strong in the early stages, but for now, they found a lot of advantages early on, and they're the team now that are aggressing their leads.
And here, you can see that Team Rosethorn are trying to get anything back, but unfortunately, they're still far behind. Solar Flare flashed away by Haze to survive from all of that. That was a lot committed on their own side, just to make sure that they could thwart the attempted play in the 2v2.
So no harm, no foul in the bot side skirmish. A few summoner spells expended, few ultis as well, but no advantage inherently going over. Now we once again see Rosethorn down in this bot lane. A little bit of deja vu here for Kyle, but able to clear out that wave, and even without vision, it is Rosethorn who backs himself away. And now, as we're starting to see these leads beginning to grow, and that's starting to translate into slightly bigger advantages with nice engage on the bot side.
That was nice. Zenith blade coming in from Daption, but they don't want to go too far because, again, they know that Rosethorn's nearby. There's
Realm
deep
Warp.
TP2. Where's the Realm Warp? Where is LeenK? Nice flash, Petrifying Gaze. They got the damage. They got the kill onto 1, followed up with a double dump onto 2 with a shutdown for Haze. But he finally finds himself into the grave, and it's going to be a slicing Maelstrom doing a lot of damage, but at least 1 goes gold. Rosethorn now jumped on, double kill from Dragoon with a Realm Warp to cut off the escape from Speedo. No, they cannot get away, but he might as well try to take one with him. He couldn't do it in the end.
Ace over to LeenK squad, a 5-for-2 Rosethorn. They look for the play down on the bot side, but they don't have the match up in their favor. Nice teleport comes through from Dragoon to turn the tides, and they were all ready for that play. LeenK had got Leo just sat waiting in the wings. Realm Warp didn't need to come through because you could just walk into that fight free as you like. Get to see JayJ maybe try and hold on to that turret, unable to do so, but hey, this is just a big lead now for LeenK, and you know, game number 1 we didn't see them, or we didn't see Rosethorn able to force this advantage. Maybe this is LeenK showcasing quite how to do it.
Exactly, especially when you have 2-1 Lucian, you have a 4-0 Olaf, and a 3-0 Graves. All of these champions going to do excellent here at this skirmish potential in this mid-game, where on the other side, it's getting difficult to see where the damage is really going to be able to utilize, be committed in these fights, and who it's going to be able to stick to.
Yeah, all the gold's in the right place for LeenK, where Rosethorn, they've got 2 kills on the Misfortune. Again, arguably the right place for them. 1 big bullet time can 1v9 a team fight, so there is an opportunity for Haze to be able to find that success, even going for a little bit of lethality here. Big fan of that, given that there's going to be maybe 1 armor stacker on total, but this is just another death surely by Speedo.
Yeah, it is. You're hitting them with the wallet at that point. 5-0 now by LeenK.
Yeah, and you know, doesn't need the stopwatch. It might be broken at this time, but if that's a secondary GA or a first GA coming through very early, could be even worse. Leo may be a little bit caught. First Q hits, but very hard to chase down when you see 3 people taking down the top tier 2.
Exactly, and they could then rotate to make sure they can fight back. I think it was a right call from Team Rosethorn to peel back towards mid lane, crash this wave into the turret, but Leo will be here to absorb it all the same.
And just advantage after advantage now in favor of the blue side. Maybe catching out this Leona.
Daption. Oh, but it is an aftershock Daption. That's a lot used to try to kill him. He will die to the Poison Twin Fangs combo out of Shochi. But now, what do you do from Team LeenK? You try to keep pushing the issue. You've got no mana onto your Lucian, but you got lots of it for Leo. They're trying to dive underneath the turret, double up, not going to be able to pick up the kill because of blows, but when it becomes lightning, it's tagged onto Leo. But Leo's enough to scare off 4 members of Team Rosethorn.
So they hold the mid-tier 1, and overall it is just a quick pick. Daption does fall, second death for the Leona, but outside of that, there's not a right lot that Rosethorn's team are able to grab from that. They try and look a little bit aggressively into the mid lane, but aren't able to find anything. Yes, they burn Kyle's flash, so that's quite nice to have gotten rid of this Lucian summoner spell, but this is still obviously Lucian who can, a little bit later on, become one of those skeet shooters that just flies around the map.
Exactly, that's the thing. It's you get the flash off him, but Relentless Pursuit is still there. You can easily dash away. It's going to be much more on to Shochi with the Mayasa to make sure they can keep him pinned, but it's getting difficult. We can see that even at this moment, when normally Cassiopeia starts feeling more powerful, that there's just not enough damage yet.
Potential collapse though, Rosethorn with JayJ in tandem, looking to make the fight happen, but just going to be clearing out some wards, and now we're getting to the point with Cassia where 1 rough trade doesn't spell the end of your time out on Summoner's Rift. Do tend to have enough sustain with the Twin Fangs to just claw your health pool back. Oh, Dragoon caught potentially Winter's Bite hits, but the wind becomes lightning, not quite in tandem with it.
No, he was able to dash away from that one, understanding that he was sitting on top of a ward. He was setting up a bait potential. If Shochi had stepped out too far by himself, probably could have burst down this Cassiopeia at this point. But I also think that it was a smart call from Team Rosethorn. Make sure that you can get more gold into this Cassiopeia. Look at the backs now coming through. But unfortunately, this is that GA second item that you're talking about out of LeenK.
Okay, oh my, the timing on that solar flare, wow. Trying to take down this Olaf is going to be impossible.
Wow, they actually got the turret off of that push. Now Rosethorn flashed away to get away from Olaf, but Olaf just hitting them with the big.
Shochi's here.
Again, he goes into stasis, but he'll be back up on his feet, but nobody is there to protect him, so shutdown is gifted to Shochi.
Really big picks here for Rosethorn's squad. They're able to take down 2 players. Yes, they lose their mid-tier 2, but it's not just a couple kills, it's the GA as well. And so much of the gold value from that item comes from the revive. That was burnt and expended, and it did nothing for the Olaf in that instance. So it's a really big pickup for Rosethorn's squad. A nice look to try and claw their way back into this game. Doesn't, again, by any means mean that they are now back in the driver's seat, but it's the first step on the road to recovery.
And it's the extra gold for the Cassiopeia, too. Sitting, waiting for that Seraph's Embrace. I think the Tear of the Goddess is already maxed out right now, so all you have to do is go to base, buy the item, easy peasy. That's going to be a big spike for this Cassiopeia.
Being able to obviously scale up even more damage on this Cassio, a very scary threat. We'd already talked about how well this Cassio will be able to function in this game just because of the nature of LeenK's squad. Everybody, when they're dishing damage to the Cassio, gonna be able to take damage in response. And with that situation, you need to look at how well people are dodging out on those noxious blasts, on the Qs from Cassio that apply the poison in the first place, because that does give a large amount of damage. Now we've got a dragon up. This would be soul point for LeenK if they could get it.
running is. Look where Speedo is. He's on the flank, waiting out. It's down to 50%. The one thing about having Cassiopeia is if she's in the pit, they can take it quickly.
Here they go.
Maelstrom flashed in on all 5 members, but it didn't do enough, not nearly to take them all down. But at least the Twin Fangs with the double up damage was able to get Leona back. 2 for 1 with Dragoon, nice shield on top of him. It's going to be the smite fight. Did not go the way of LeenK. Now he's locked in the pit, and he's going to be executed for a second time.
There they go.
In. It's an unofficial quadra at the moment for Haze, and they've got the damage on the other side. Leo is here looking to see what they can do, if they can get anything, but it will be a realm warp to safety, juking out and breaking the ankles of Haze.
Okay, so 3 for 3 overall. Rosethorn able to take the Drake here in a very wayward fight, honestly. A big engage to start off with by Speedo and Rosethorn, and that really doesn't amount to too much. It chunks out a lot of LeenK, but it doesn't win them the fight outright. Then with those chunked out health bars, the rest of the Rosethorn, they charge forward, they try and finish off the job. They want to finish off the Dragon, and they get themselves a bit of a freebie on the Olaf as well. Flashing over the wall, taking down an extra member in Dragoon, and then the turn back around, we get to see Leo and Kyle step up a little bit to the plate, try and take down a bit of a response, and they find a quick kill as trade. So back and forth in these fights, and despite the gold lead that LeenK has, we're starting to see the presence of these team fights that Rosethorn have got.
And the fact that all that gold went into Haze's pocket is going to be critical too. As Good corrected, it was 3 kills, a triple kill for Haze in that fight. Now 5 and 1 has got that collector completed, and look at that, BF sword, Executioner's calling 2 to cut through any of the healing Dragoon would do on the top side, and same with
Double
LeenK.
Bloodthirster.
Things are looking a lot better for Team Rosethorn now.
That Executioner's Calling can have so much value. Look across the items that these players have got already. Double Bloodthirster comes through for the double marksman. Olaf in general just has a ton of innate healing. Rise as well has a little with that domination rune with the damage. Leo though in trouble.
Not going to get the Solar Flare to connect. Press and strike to make sure no damage comes in from Leo on the other side. But with the TP here, Dragoon, Smokescreen not going to actually connect onto any members with the concussive blows on top of LeenK. It'll just be the TP used by Dragoon to scare off Team Rosethorn for now.
Oh, re-engage though. Big bro multi.
Yeah, but unfortunately went a little bit wide. I appreciate the hustle there, JayJ, but it would have been really ambitious even if that had worked out. You're wanting this fight to work, because look at mid lane. Look at what is happening from Kyle, just pushing this wave, crashing it into the inhibitor turret.
And able to get out to safety as well. That's the leading threat. And now they're just starting up the Baron here.
Whoa.
In the faces of them, but they don't actually see this. Remember, this is on a control ward. Well, finally, I suppose, they peel away, and I'm not sure whether they've gained vision somehow or just had a bit of a sneaking suspicion. But either way, a bit of a YOLO effort, I'll call it there, to try and take the Baron, but it doesn't come out with anything, and all told, they don't really lose anything for it.
Well, Team LeenK had to bail out of that. The moment you suspect at all that Team Rosethorn is starting to collapse, you get out of there, because look who's bot lane. Still Kyle, separated from the team, but now Speedo is also there. Without the TP, this is a 4v4 potential fight. It's a lot better, but they still have to worry with how low Daption had gotten.
And now somebody is in that bot lane for Rosethorn. They can't stay around. Kyle able to get out to safety here. Yeah, now that somebody was there to match that Lucian, it was much more difficult for LeenK to try and walk into this Baron because Lucian isn't able to go toe-to-toe. Well, honestly, might be able to go toe-to-toe with the Kennen at this point, but just by nature being an AD carry, you never think you can 1v1 anyone until you're full build. So Kyle, quite rightly, just pays a little bit of respect to the Kennen with all the CC and damage that he does have right now to get out to safety.
Yeah, even with that Bloodthirster second item, yeah, you're not guaranteed you're going to get the kill on the Kennen. I respect the respect that you're giving over to Speedo on this. Make sure you're getting control instead of the vision around these upcoming objectives so you can force back Team Rosethorn, continue to have that control around the rift.
And it's not like all of those pushed waves aren't doing anything for Kyle either. He's not yet based. I assume has an absolute plethora of gold at his disposal when he does go back to base because he's been farming up an absolute storm in mid lane, in bot lane. Going to have those components presumably of the Infinity Edge just about ready to go in time for this Drake fight. If LeenK is able to pick up this one, then that puts them to sole point and puts a bit of a clock on Rosethorn's squad as to when they need to be looking for fights. But again, he's not actually taken the reset here, and reset timers for Drakes are all but elapsed right now. You go back to base right now, you're not with the team to support.
I mean, this whole time, Kyle's just been getting the waves both mid and bot lane. Well,
yeah.
Everything had happened top lane. That's a lot of gold he's still sitting on, and they continue to keep him out here. They're putting pressure onto this tier 2, but this could be where they overstep. They have to be so cautious there. Even if you had the setup, Daption still did not have TP. Not Daption,
Speedo.
Dragoon.
Could be in trouble.
Speedo, he should be fine. He's underneath the turret, even with the undertow. He'll be fine, but now mid lane is actually where things are getting a little bit rough. The double dashes without the miasma, and then collateral damage too for Dragoon to stay quite safe away.
Absolutely A-okay right here, and it looks like there's an attempted trade coming through. This is the last chance that Rosethorn's squad would be able to go for this one. Baron, you might think a little bit slow with Misfortune, but with Cassio at the back, they're going to be more than capable of taking this one down. The response, though, they don't want the Drake, they want the fight.
No, it's a 4v4 fight. Speedo has got a long ways away until he's going to be able to join up with the team. And it's going to be the same pace that Olaf can keep up with him. He's already passing towards this fight. Rosethorn took a lot of damage immediately. Nice petrifying gaze, though, with a bullet time combination. Looking to see if they can take down Daption. Flashed away, back towards the team with a heal, too. Little bit of movement speed, undertow. The keep at bay team Rosethorn, who keep winning out incrementally in each one of these fights, even though LeenK now getting tagged by the concussive blows and Ragnarok pops.
Little incremental advantages, as you mentioned, coming through. Rosethorn's squad able to now batter down this tier 1. Q3 plus audacious charge from Rosethorn is so hard to get away from, and Leo falls prey to it with no mid laner. The wave clear is stymied a little bit, and the mid tier 1 does fall. There's no Baron, and the Dragon did go over to LeenK. We have to remember that this Olaf was able to solo out that objective without any recompense outside of the Rise falling. So come 5 minutes time, Rosethorn won't be able to pull that same maneuver. They're going to have to try and battle it, and now we're going to see this opportunity where LeenK's squad can just go, hey, you didn't want that last Dragon? Well, we don't want this one. We can be the ones to take the Baron, and you have to answer us with this, because if not, we still have a big enough lead to make it a real scary situation for you.
Especially now that the TPs are up for both mid and top lane on each side. It'll be a lot easier to see if we can bait out these fights on the side of LeenK, get those TPs away so that you then can have the control, especially like you said, the fact that once that Dragon comes up, they know where Team Rosethorn has to be.
Have to wait and see if they're able to wrest control. With double TPs on Rosethorn's side, they still have the opportunity of using their side lanes fairly freely as to do with what they want, right? Getting farm on all of their members shouldn't be too difficult. Leo and Dragoon should be able to go out and respond as well, so seeing them double stacked on the bot side isn't scary when they've got double TPs up and they're translating the overload into a turret as well, picking up gold. And this commit here by Rosethorn could be beneficial, or these TPs could be disastrous.
They got 2 ults on the side of Team LeenK out. Team Rosethorn can utilize that little advantage to see if they themselves can get that control around the Baron Pit that they have lost for the time being.
And they're looking for those TPs, right? They're looking to force that fight to make Dragoon, make Leo burn their teleports, but they're holding on to them, saying that it's not worth it if we can get out to safety without them. And now with one roaming through the jungle, Leo's on his way. Looks like those TPs aren't going to need to be expended just yet.
That's a lot of damage. Nice Glacial Fissure and the flash away because there's no Ragnarok still available. Calling completely eaten by Daption and Rosethorn as a combination. And now without a support, without your engaged tool, it's going to be Team Rosethorn peeling back and with full control on the top side of the map.
Yeah, they're just playing this game of chicken right now with the solo lane. They're saying, do you want a TP? We're going to kill your team. And they take down the support. Now they're looking to take down the Baron. Cassio's not here yet, so it's a little bit slow. Have to imagine there's going to be a contest of some sort. They've got all of their damage dealers nearby.
Oh, where's LeenK? He's pushing down mid lane, trying to contest around that instead, allowing them to take the Baron. The flash away from Leo, but the chase could be there from Team Rosethorn, except for the fact that LeenK is opening up the base.
So they trade the inhibitor turret for the Baron here, and a little bit confused as to whether or not the call was to contest or not, but LeenK able to find a break open into the base. Now we need to see what Rosethorn can do with this Baron. They acknowledged the trade that they were taking. They now need to see what they can get from this. They have 3 minutes to utilize this Baron to push in waves, to find structures and claw back that gold deficit. They're down about 4k at present. They can use this Baron power play to get back to even or even ahead. That's exactly what they're going to be wanting, because this composition, as we get into the team fight stages, pivoting around this Cassio, around the cannon flanks, really can be devastating.
The thing is, we got 1 minute and 10 seconds until the 4th Dragon that could be taken for the side of Team LeenK will be up. That could be their soul if they are able to secure the objective, which is why Rosethorn, they put so much of their pressure. They pivoted away from the top lane control now to the mid and bot lane, just so that Team LeenK can't sneak that away.
Exactly, and you talk about this Dragon at such the right time, because they've got this opportunity with 3 minutes on Baron, but with only 45 seconds now on the Drake, they don't have time to accumulate that gold to get that deficit away from them. They have to take a fight much sooner than that. Unfortunately, it's not going to look the best as it could do. Baron does provide you a little bit of combat boost, but maybe not enough to overcome the deficit they're already at.
Look at that TP behind. There's a good TP ward that Speedo could go to. He hasn't used it just yet. There it is. Going to pop it. They've already got the kill into Leona. Now they're going to chase down onto Lucian, kiting back with the heal, but they've got a lot of movement speed. Here comes Speedo, the flash too, with the slicing Maelstrom, and it's a shutdown that he picks up with a kill for Haze.
There we go, the team fight comp. They're looking for the battles, they're looking for the brawls, and they find it here. Magical pick up 3 members. They're going to be able to deny this soul, and they may not even care to here. 30 minutes on the clock, death timers, fairly long.
Yeah, it's easy. Cassiopeia can take that solo. They can chase down LeenK, make sure he cannot stop the push mid with the Baron on their head.
Oh, they're playing this so beautifully here. They're getting everything. They've got the cake. They're eating it with the cherries, the sprinkles, everything on top. They may lose their top side here to Leo, making a fairly wise call himself, knowing that he's not going to be able to defend this one without the rest of his team. And now they're looking to stop the backs. They've only got 2 people already base TP.
Oh, it's going to be the TP from Leo, though. They've got at least the stopwatch out of JayJ. JayJ flashing back towards his team, but the follow-up is already there. They've got the red buff to pick up the kill, but now it's going to be a double kill. And Petrifying Gaze did nothing on the other side. Speedo slowed down. Another slow with Undertow over and over again. Triple kill from LeenK. Shochi, he's back slithering towards Haze, but they have all these slows. And the damage from Haze instead pops the cap into Daption's ass.
He's got 4 items on this Misfortune. He doesn't need his ult to dish out the damage. Magical just takes down the Leona. But this is still a 4v2 situation in favor of LeenK's squad. There's an open inhibitor in the mid lane if they want to go take that one. But it looks like for the time being, they've done enough here, Rosethorn. They've been able to weather the storm. They were able to take down the own mid lane inhibitor. And now with, no neutral objectives up on the board,
Okay, nice miasma. Make sure that Shochi will slither back towards the base once more, even though Haze wasn't there to kind of catch that so they could turn it around. They've at least weathered the storm, as you were talking about, Rude Dude. Everyone now respawning on Team Rosethorn.
Exactly, right? The 3 kills that LeenK got, largely unanswerable, right? There was 1 trade kill, but what do they get from those kills? It's just a little bit of gold, just scraps, and at this point in the game, yes, gold is great, but you're looking more toward those neutral objectives. The Baron and the Dragon weren't spawned. There was nothing for them to gain. They weren't even able to take down that mid lane inhibitor, which is sort of sitting pretty right now with no turret protecting it. So with everybody back respawned, we default back to this 5v5 scenario where we've touched on that Rosethorn squad. We're looking at their composition and thinking that this one should by and large be able to outweigh what LeenK can provide. This Olaf at the late stage, granted, not as far off a cliff as it was prior to these mythic items coming through, but still not the best. And now they're looking for a brawl in the jungle.
Very aggressive position from Team LeenK. Even though there isn't that TP flank this time for Speedo to utilize, there's nothing to really fight over. You got 1.5 minutes until the Baron's going to spawn. 2 minutes and 40 seconds until that Dragon spawns up as well. I'm surprised to see Team LeenK continuing to push up for that. Yeah, like you were talking about, dude, base race.
They're all calling each other's bluffs right now. Everybody's recalling. Neither one of them knows who's going to be going for it. And it looks like they've both called one another's bluffs and been able to just go back to base here. A little bit of hesitation by both of the squads. We're getting to the point in the game now where one team fight probably decides the game here, with access to the base for both of these squads. Control of side lanes becomes really important as well. And we'll have to wait and see, with one more team fight still in this game at the very minimum right now, which one of them's able to come out on top, because still we have the gold lead for LeenK and their team, but don't quite know if that's going to be enough.
Oh no, Dragoon, he's using the blue buff to body block Winter's Bite. It was a nice attempt there to get that blue buff, but Rosethorn made sure that they can complete that, and now Gale Force away. Rosethorn right into the back line. He's got a big old shield on his head, but he's fighting against Kyle, and he's taken down with a bullet time coming through onto LeenK's head, but it's a shutdown on the other side. They've got Haze, they've got the shutdown of the Sentry, with Shochi on the wrong side too. A lot of damage and getting the shield out of Dragoon. Unfortunately, you're slithering the wrong way. They can easily chase it down. They got a Leona and they got a Lucian, both hot on your tail, looking to pick up the kill. Miasma put down. We'll only need to get the double up. There it is. Rampage out of Kyle.
Oh, the ward is so clutch right there, honestly. Able to just pick up the vision, and Kyle's able to take that kill. Now, Speedo still has ult. He doesn't have flash, but there's an opportunity here with Slicing Maelstrom to cause some real havoc.
Look at the base right now. Super minions are starting to pour in. Speedo is here and wants to stop this Baron at all costs. Make sure the minions can be winions. It's down to 50% on this Baron. Speedo has not committed to dive in just yet. He's cautious on it. I think it's a smart call because even if you're a hero and pull off a miracle, there's also a chance that you end up being a dud.
Yeah, just a really small thing there. LeenK playing this position of the two carries very well. Neither Dragoon nor Kyle were in a position to get comboed out by the Kennen in the same instance. They do lose one of their Nexus turrets here, though, Magical, and we'll have to see whether or not it ends up being worthwhile. They have got the Baron. They're going to be able to start charging. I think it got onto all 5 members in the end. Maybe Leo just missing out, but once again, we've got a Drake fight soon enough. 20 seconds on that respawning, and still soul point for LeenK, but could be soul for Rosethorn.
Speedo's already completed the TP, but they've got Rosethorn completely locked down, so he flashed away. Ragnarok pop, Undertow doing no damage. The flash in though from Kyle to take down Rosethorn. He's unstoppable at this point. Who can touch this man? Nobody can keep up with him, and Dragoon's kept the actual engage of Speedo completely at bay this entire time.
Kyle has been playing these fights beautifully. He got a quadra kill in the last one. Now able to take down the jungler, which signals the soul for LeenK. They're able to take the fight here, and in the 5v5s, we didn't give them the advantage, but an Infernal Soul is a big checkmark in their favor.
It's going to allow them to really pop some damage on top of Team Rosethorn, especially now that you only have Shochi really in the base. Haze is here too, but it's an open inhibitor, as you had talked about before, Rude Dude finally falling.
They get to break open the base, and now they have that flowing pressure from the super minions for 5 minutes time. There's going to be, it looked like a 1v1 here. No TPs available outside of Leo, so there's a chance that Rise looks to respond.
This dance has been going on for a while, but it's going to be Speedo calling the bluff of Dragoon and getting the shutdown all the while, too. Oh, no, you're done, Speedo. You wanted a recall there, but here's the cavalry to get the 1v1 trade.
He doesn't have a Morello's, he doesn't have an Oblivion Orb. He's still able to dish out the damage, though, and take down Dragoon. I think maybe a bit of a misstep, not just trying to sit and battle that one out up against the Kennen, as the 1-for-1 does come through. Nice collapse from the rest of LeenK and the squad to pick up the kill in response here. And now we're just getting to this point once again where we've got these neutrals off the board. These kills don't particularly mean a lot here. They're great to pick up some cooldowns, pick up a little bit of extra gold, and we're getting to the point now where most of these guys, they're getting to their 5th, 6th item, and that 300 gold, maybe not as important as it was 20 minutes ago.
No, and we're getting some stopwatches picked up. Look at Dragoon, look at Shochi, both of them having those in the inventory, and you know, what is it, snakes don't wear boots. So you get even more items for this Cassiopeia with the movement speed as well, so you can really bring the hurt into these fights as Shochi.
Baron didn't really get a whole lot. Yes, they broke open that mid lane inhibitor, but outside of that, the side lanes remain untouched. It looks like Shochi's been able to handle that bot wave fairly cleanly as Kyle.
Getting a lot of damage onto Shochi with that calling, but it is all for naught at the moment, because look at the timers on both Baron and that Elder Dragon. 4 minutes essentially until the Elder Dragon will spawn. Still about a little shy of 3 minutes on to the Baron too. We'll probably not see too much true fighting from either squad until it's going to be around controlling both of those pits.
And I wonder what this serrated Dirk from Haze is going to turn into. There's an opportunity for it to be that collector and get that execution damage down, but also maybe a Edge of Night comes through here to prevent that first axe from catching you out, from that solar flare from picking you up, that you don't have to burn Gale Force for it and just gets absorbed by that. So maybe a defensive option, maybe that aggressive option with it to dish out even more damage, but have to wait and see as Rosethorn.
Oh, Rosethorn, if face checks the brush, but it looks like his team was there and prepared. They've got an easy kill on Daption all the time.
There we go, and now with the Leona down, slight control of Summoner's Rift should go into Rosethorn's pocket here. They've got a 4v5 across Summoner's Rift for a fairly long time. Still just enough, though, for LeenK to get their Leona back on the map, get her out on summoning up those wards as well. So it's about the best time, if there is a good time to die randomly, that was about the best.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, the only problem with getting that pick is what happens from there. Where do you go as Team Rosethorn? You get a little bit of vision control, it gets back for yourselves, but you had to expend a good amount just to make sure you could secure that kill, and there's nothing else to fight over.
So with the kill, you know, again, like we say, good little bit of gold back. That Serrated Dirk ended up getting sold, so, you know, wrong on all counts, unfortunately, there. Able to pick up, I believe, the Bloodthirster here, so we're getting a lot of this vamp starting to come through across multiple members, and, you know, it's at the stage in the game where not having a Grievous Wounds option kind of unacceptable across the squad, and particularly, you know, Gorgian Kasterax on one side, we've got Conqueror on the other, and now with this Bloodthirster coming through, maybe would like to have seen a Morellonomicon, maybe even just a Bramble Vest on the Olaf to do some sort of anti-healing in this game, and have to wait and see whether or not one of those does get picked up. That pick, though, on the Leona enables them to move through the jungle and start to claw back a little bit of vision, as you'd mentioned, and they're still sitting, recalling on wards, though, so not entirely job done just yet.
No, but the big thing to me are the fact that both these AD carries are fully built at this moment. All 6 of the items that they could possibly want are in their inventories. They're going to really bring the hurt, and if you can keep either of them alive, that's going to be the team that really comes out on top.
Still one more item slot for Shochi. Have to wait and see what that one turns into. Maybe just a death cap, honestly. But with Leo forcing the aggression down on this bot side.
Petrifying Gaze, and now the turrets focus on a Leo. He goes golden, but he's on top of Miasma. Poison, Twin Fangs, and with the help of the turret shutdown. The flash away, but it's Kyle once again. Always the right place, right time. Unfortunately, it's at the sacrifice of his support. Daption's taken out so he can open up the base and try to go for a race with Speedo there. The Baron's being taken too. What the hell's going on in this game? Speedo had to go golden with the slicing maelstrom too. Kyle, he's all by himself in the enemy base, taking it away. But here comes Haze, chasing him down, and who can win? Exhaust use. It's a Guardian's Angel pop, but they've now got a turnaround with Rosethorn here too, and he does it. Kyle 1v2 still picks up a kill.
What happened? This game just went from 0 to 100 in a second, Magical. The Baron goes down, 3 kills go over to Rosethorn. They're traded for 2 on the other side. But look at who's died on the Rosethorn squad. It's their 2 big, hard-hitting DPS members that have already gone down. Haze falls, Shochi falls, and with 5 seconds on this Elder Drake, these teams are just going to be looking at one another really menacingly, but I don't imagine there's going to be too much to fight.
Not until Leo TP's in. He's about to spawn. There he is. Diving in onto LeenK. Looking for the knockup. It's going to be the Ragnarok with the TP right behind them. They get a lot of damage. LeenK trying to cut it back. Flashed away. He's lost his GA again. And is also on the trade on the other side. And look what happens. Each time he's left out to dry. And they can easily turn back onto the Elder Dragon.
Oh, it's a macro disaster here. Honestly, just everybody battling across the board, and it looks like the Elder should be picked up by Rosethorn's squad now. They were the ones at the numbers disadvantage. Now they're the ones that are taking the Elder. Is there a chance for a flip and a steal?
Well, let's see right now. Haze has got a long walk and saunter into this fight with Rosethorn taking a lot of damage. The fight didn't even secure it. It was the W out of Speedo.
My heart, when I saw that collateral damage, my heart literally skipped a beat right there. I thought that I'd stolen it away. But the Rosethorn squad able to pick up the Elder. It's on 5 members here, and now they've got the best team fighting buff that you could hope to exist. It's simple enough right now. Go mid lane, try and fight. Just group up as 5 and look for an objective, because you've got this opportunity to take a fight. This is much better than an Infernal Soul, much better than any form of Baron buff that you could hope for in a 5 versus 5 situation. We haven't really seen one of those yet, though, Magical. They've just been scrapping everywhere in these late stages.
It has been quite wild. That's not what I expected when it came to both the Elder Dragon and the Baron Root, dude. I was expecting to see a lot more of the setup for the team fights, the dance that you're so used to. But Team LeenK just sent Dragoon and LeenK to go get it themselves. Well, Kyle just went rampant into the base.
Absolute chaos, honestly, the last 5 minutes have been, and we'll have to see whether or not that continues. We're starting to see a little bit of an issue, though, here with the squad, and without Baron, your siege isn't that great, particularly when you've got Ryze, you've got Lucian, you've got Graves, all of which have fairly decent wave clear tools. You are just forcing this with your Drake, and to try and pick up the inhibitor is the first goal. Outside of that, there's not a lot open to them, because whilst they don't need minions to take this inhib, to take anything else, minions are pretty crucial.
Kyle was contemplating pushing in the minion wave, but the moment Speedo had shown his face to catch the wave, he's
There's
like,
only one Nexus turret.
Oh, look at that. he's staying. He's looking for it. He's going to try to base race. We've got a potential fight there. You got to get back to your base because now you're going to lose out. Like you said, there's only one Nexus turret. They dove into the back line and they've got the kill with the help of the Elder Dragon. Everyone else is going to burn down to it. Burn, baby, burn. Where's Dragoon going to fall? He was able to pick up the kill on a JayJ, but unfortunately, the turret is gone. Slicing Maelstrom takes him out. Kyle's here, but can he be our hero? He can't do it this time around. Everyone besides Leo is dead, and he is under his fountain golden. Game picked up here by Team Rosethorn. 44 minutes in.
Holy, down an Infernal Soul. They lost a Baron at some point as well here, but they're able to come out on top. It was a back and forth one, a back and forth affair from the start to the end. It came down to an Elder in the end that clawed them the win, and just foreheading into the base, honestly, just saying, hey, you know what, we want to take a fight, and this is how we'll do it.
I mean, yeah, that was an exciting game, that's for sure. For an exhibition match, that was definitely what you'd want to see, where everyone is just having this chaos, these fights. It was fun to watch and fun to cast, and honestly, I just like seeing that from players, where you have a player like Kyle just doing what he needs to do for the team to keep it so close. And honestly, it felt like even if he stayed in the base, maybe he could have just solo killed Speedo, but then we saw what was happening in his own base. It was such a difficult decision to make.
Yeah, and that's when you get to see like the true caliber of everyone, right? If you're making the correct calls in that instance, then that's what sets apart the great, just intense micro players and their mechanical skill to being able to broader understanding of League of Legends. So really good to see on both sides, everybody just scrapping it out from start to finish and picking up those little trades in the end game. Loved seeing Kyle pop off, loved seeing the Casio finally hit her late game stride and be able to blow up anybody in their sight. And, you know, as we say, right, just being able to go for those scraps, go for those engages, truly great League of Legends to watch.
And you know what? I feel like we've said a lot about this game. We had a long time to discuss it, but so did the analyst desk. So why don't we let them take it over from here and really break down this game? So take it away.
All right, welcome back to the analyst desk, and I just have two words for this game, and that is banger, and that is fiesta. And honestly, I didn't know which one I was gonna get. Either something went extremely well, or kind of left me scratching my head. But I do know every few minutes I am yelling into the void, saying, "Wow, what was that?" So you know, we have our analysts still here with us, Pukar and Kelsey. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, as we kind of talked about during the pregame, these are two teams that wanted to fight each other a lot. We saw Red Side kind of execute some of their late game composition that came together towards the end of the game, and we saw Blue Team kind of crawl their way back at certain points in the game where they were able to take advantage of some of Red Team's missteps during the mid game.
So it feels like both games, whoever's on blue, they see the angle to snowball with short range volatility, and whoever's on red says, you know, we've got to pick champions that really punish you for coming into you, and champions that are going to do well off of like these types of having a good setup around neutrals and having someone face check it to you. Unfortunately, blue side, we identified that Rise could have used side lane advantage, was not able to. I would like to commend Mr. Kyle for consistently finding windows on Lucian in side lane, even though that's not typically something that you associate with ADs. Very well done. However, it was not enough to create situations where you weren't able to get setup advantage. People weren't able to face check into the red team. And obviously that last bit of slow push, red team just ran straight mid and took the victory off of that. So for me, it's definitely been some compositional predictability, but everyone having like moments and time to shine and great play from everyone across the board. Some highlight moments for us to get to enjoy throughout the game.
Yeah, definitely. I think you said it best. Some highlight moments for us to enjoy throughout the game. And so, Pukar, I'm curious, for you, what was your favorite highlight moment this game?
Well, there was a lot. There was this one team fight around mid lane. I think it was for Soul Point for the blue team, where it was just people were fighting. We had a Kennen flank. Graves marked him really well, cut him off. Short hop or Kyle had a really smooth, clean fight, fighting into the river. That was one of the best fights of the game in terms of blue team saying, "Okay, we're going to disrupt what your plan is going to be. And we're going to try and counter it the best way our tools allow us to in the fight." And they did a really good job in that fight.
Excuse me, I was muted. For me, once again, you had the moment where you had someone who adapted throughout the course of the series and realized the best way to use their abilities in their toolkit. And last game, I would say it was LeenK. This game, I would say it was Shochi. I remember at the dragon fight, the first dragon fight where you had the big advantage for blue team, he stepped out of the pixel where he had really good setup, could have had 3 people come in and an insane ulti from there, but got too eager, walked out, ulted only one person, and then blew out the fight off of that. Over the course of the game, you saw him adapt more patience, really understand his role. Just let them walk into us. Kennen will pick the wave and keep it from there. I really also enjoyed JayJ's prom. I think that it wasn't necessarily the most conventional way that I would like to see him play Braum in this comp in terms of letting him walk in, then setting up the ult. But when he saw the advantage, he engaged with Braum, which is not always the easiest thing to do. Situations like when they were split off of terrain, he instantly clear. One of the best things for me was when you saw situations where Speedo was catching the bot wave and cleared it right away. There was a huge window where Speedo had the opportunity to TP. There wasn't a window for the Dragoon to force the wave, and instantly JayJ engaging. So good communication in a situation set up for today between these two players who don't typically play together, between Speedo and JayJ stepping out here. So just so many great moments for me, and I'm excited to watch game 3. Let's get that. Let's just get that going and see who comes out on top.
I think I'm right there with you, Kelsey. I'm really excited for game 3. And so before we throw it to break, I do want to know from both, Kelsey and then Pukar, do we think red team wins again, or are we kind of paying attention to one or two players that we think might pull it off to win the game for blue side in game 3?
I'm gonna go rogue and say blue side is gonna take this one. I don't have any reason yet. I'll figure one out between the draft, but I'm confident in blue side for this game 3.
I think there's I'm gonna stick with red side. I just think it's players are adapting really well to, I think the first pick Graves, a bit of a trap. Maybe they let it drop a little, but Graves is one of those champions that I think for a couple of years it's been strong on and off, and players at this point and coaches understand the weaknesses and limitations of this champion. And obviously now it's more popular in the solo lane setting, but still same champion. You weak to double AP, in which we've seen red side pick pretty comfortably this past game. Also weak to range, not able to do a whole lot there. So looking forward to either seeing that pick drop or a little bit in prio, or seeing red side take it again.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see what happens. I'm sure game 3 won't be disappointed. We'll get another banger or fiesta, but we're going to throw it to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be in draft. We'll see you guys soon.
All right, we're here for the third draft of the third game of the AoE Arena series this is the 8th day, correct, Gar?
I believe so, Kelsey.
Excellent. So we're looking at the bands coming out. Looks like not a lot of adaptation coming from Team LeenK. Just the Karthus and the Darius bands coming through once again. In terms of, I guess the only true surprising thing is that we have the ban for the Yumi ban is being taken up by the red side team this time.
Yeah, these are the same bans that we saw in game 1, so I wonder if blue team Rosethorn's team will also ban Lucian like game 1, forcing the hand of LeenK's team to ban the MF, or we'll see a different option this time.
Yep, there is the Lucian ban coming through. They're just continuing to target those comfort picks with the MF also dropped. Now, when we see the Graves first pick, that's what we were
Graves
talking
is
about
up.
At the end of the last game.
See some other options. Not too many. Maybe a different bot laner. Maybe a different support.
LeBlanc is open. LeBlanc has been last game.
Rise.
Right. So Rise is an option.
I don't think
got
Shochi's
the
Syndra's
Aphelios. Yeah, there it is, right there. The Aphelios picking coming out. The Ziggs didn't do as well last time into the Aphelios. Perhaps, or in the first game into the Aphelios, perhaps making them feel a bit more bold here.
A champion that ShortHop likes to play, or Kyle likes to play into the Aphelios is the Caitlyn or the Ashe. So I wonder if he will kind of flex his champion pool and pick one of those for us today. As we see X and Graves.
A little bit of a surprise. We're getting like the shorter range picks coming out on the red side this time around with the, not that Aphelios is a particularly long range pick, but we've got the Graves and the Vex coming out here. It's a good combination. We're already shoring up. Not too worried about the damage profile already on red side, but again, you're challenging them to come into you when Aphelios already wants to sit back, enjoy the show a bit. So looking for some longer range picks now on the blue side draft, and we do have the Thresh that's going to create a ton of space against these champs.
Yeah, Thresh is a pretty, obviously pairs well with the Aphelios and can provide some safety for him in general. And we probably see blue side lock in one of the solo lane picks to match the Vex or the Graves.
And there's a TF right there. Where is this Worlds 2021? Are we there?
It's Gen G on the blue side.
TF Aphelios Thresh priority. And now going on. So yeah, I think what we can see here is because red side pick their solo laners 1-2 like that, basically. Obviously, we can still see the Graves flex. We talked a little bit about some situations where Vex can be flex support, but expectations are that these are the double solo lane picks, which means that you can set up a top lane matchup where you can look for a dive off of TF advantage. You also have Thresh, which in most matchups guarantees bot prio early, so you can set up a TF dive on the bot side. So a lot of options here with this Thresh TF combo.
Yeah, one of the picks I might look for blue team to ban is potentially the Gangplank. Obviously, that would mean the Graves would go into jungle for LeenK's team, but the Gangplank is one of Dragoon's signature picks that could kind of neutralize some of the Twisted Fates pressure. They also want to thin out support champion pool because there's a mismatch in the draft where LeenK's team likely picks support out on 4 to match the Thresh.
Yeah, you can nullify the TF a little bit. There are other options too, like if you're holding top all the way to bot side and flexing Graves into jungle, you can go for things like the Jax, Fiora, things like that, depending on what they're picking out here. Not necessarily picks we associate with Dragoon, but in that same vein, you've got, like you said, the GP, the Mordekaiser, things like this that make TF have a more difficult time with top decks.
Yeah, we do see blue side hovering the Malphite ban. I think this is just a general ban to take away one of the weak side picks for Dragoon that could potentially lane into one of Speedo's signature champions, like a Gnar or a Jace or something similar like that.
Interesting to me that they banned Camille and Aurelia. I would think as like a Graves Vex comp, you'd be happy to have those champs like hard commit into you, mess them up a little bit in the case of a fight, because both the previous games we haven't really seen teams make good use of sideline with the exception of short hop a little bit. So I think that you're pretty safe to just expect them to come at you in some kind of 5v5. In that case, I would be fine keeping Aurelia and Camille open versus my Graves Vex comp.
Yeah, definitely. And we see the Rakan locked in as the supportive choice against the Aphelios Thresh. We saw a similar, if not identical, almost matchup in Game 1, except that LeenK's team had the Aphelios and the Thresh into the Rakan. And we saw that Thresh was able to get out of lane first. So we'll see if that sort of trend follows, with Thresh being able to impact one of the solo lanes early, and see if it has a bigger impact this game than in Game 1, as we see Viego and Jax for blue side.
I also see Daption picking up the Rakan, something that we had JayJ do very, very well on previously, like one of his signature champs, so not too surprised. And there's the Jax that I mentioned. Even though we saw this Jax versus Graves matchup a lot of Worlds, and it is going to be a Graves jungle flex here with the GP coming into the Jax. Personally, I don't think Jax is that great with either of these picks, so hopefully he's not expecting to have the most fun time in this game today.
Yeah, as well as the Viego is locked in the jungle for Rosethorn with basically almost every single jungle except Lee Sin open, which is an interesting decision. He could have went for something like the Xin Zhao or another pick to potentially match into the Graves. He could have picked something like the Kindred as well that could pair with the TF and the Aphelios like LeenK's team did Game 1. But we've opted into the Viego, which does synergize decently well with some of the support from the Twisted Fate, the Jax, and the Thresh. We'll see if that pick can get rolling in this game, because when it does, it really takes over the game.
We still are seeing like the Viego is going to have to commit into this AoE threat from Graves and GP. Not the most fun time. A lot of burst, though I would say that the CC isn't insane on red side team, so maybe that's an angle where Viego can come in a bit later, clean up pretty easily without having to worry too much about getting locked down, as long as he's avoiding like the Jhin snares and Rakan's initial engages.
Yeah, we have a lot of engage from I guess LeenK's red side team, but it's not true hard CC like you said. It's the Rakan, sort of creating angles, Gangplank ultimate, the Jin ultimate, but there's not a lot of true lockdown ability on that squad. So we'll see how they can dance around some of the fights that might pick up in the mid game.
And once again, we were looking at the bans coming out a little bit again. Still not fully sure what we're looking for in terms of the Camille Aurelia, but I'm assuming those are more target-based bans. And the Jin, the Jin initially into the Aphelios long range, so you're not in a situation once again where you're committing into the Aphelios. I believe what we're going to do next is we're going to transition once again to a break and let the casters take it away. Any final thoughts, Pukar?
No, I think as far as drafts go, these are some of the more balanced ones. I mean, each champion has certain advantages over some of the other ones, but I'm excited to see if the Twisted Fate can get the Jax and Viego rolling for blue side in this game.
All right, there you have it, and we will send it back again for the final time to Rude Dude and Man Magical to give us the third game of Day 8 of AoE Arena.
Hearing voices from afar, join the madness when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day, we must attack. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of the world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants?
Welcome one, welcome all. It is our third game of our amateur arena. Both teams are tied up at 1 apiece. Team Rosethorn back onto the blue side. They got the Jack top lane. They thought it was going to be into the Graves, but I got Flex and Dragoon now on to Gangplank to meet him up.
Yeah, this Graves has got into the top lane in 2 games prior. Good to see that LeenK still got this one in the wheelhouse to bust it out and save his top laner from what would be a pretty dire matchup, and instead putting him in what could be a pretty good one.
Like that from Dragoon, actually. Using the barrels, just quickly getting a quick trade. They both use the corrupting pot stack, just one of them, and they're both failing to restock.
Okay, so Dragoon actually stays. So, you know, on a metric of advantages, this isn't the biggest, but
I was about to say, what metric are you about to use here?
it's not the biggest, okay, but corrupting potion charges in laning phase magical. These are important.
What's lower than a nanometer?
Femto.
There we go.
Pico.
We got a picometer. One of those two. That's how minor of an advantage is gained in that top lane.
How much health do you get from corrupting potion? It's 150, right? Or is it like that's a health potion? So it's that much of health difference that is open to Speedo that's not open to Dragoon.
Yeah, and Dragoon does not get the full lane priority that he was really hoping. He was able to get a good chain there with the barrels that he stacked up for some time. But again, it's going to be the corrupting pot stack on the side of Speedo that favors him, even though it is a Jax into Gangplank matchup, and it doesn't really tend to go too well for Jax early on.
No, particularly with Dragoon starting on this barrel, which I feel like is probably the more notable talking point, honestly, outside of the corrupting potion stacks. You take these barrels level 1 because they'll hit through the counter-strike. If you'd have picked Parlay, you'd have been in a big deal of trouble just by trying to, you know, parlay into a counter-strike. That simply doesn't work, as we can see these trades continuing to go forth. Leap Strike now enabled as well, so finding these quick skirmishes is pretty much all that Speedo's looking for to try and punish Dragoon early on.
You know, I always love seeing this, though, where you have these really aggressive lanes that normally you talk about a Jax and a Gangplank. It's the late game scaling that you look at, but not in this matchup. It is about getting that early lead, the early priority over the other, but that means that they have to bash their faces into one another.
And with that, we need to look at where the junglers are, because Speedo right now actually in a little bit of trouble. Needs to get this wave crashed fairly quickly. LeenK is on the top side of the map, and if we look at where Rosethorn is, he's down on the bot side taking up his Raptors and not in a position to retaliate to a gank should it come through. Speedo, you know, playing this one very tightly, playing on the edge of what he's able to do without going down. Did have that ward down to make sure that he didn't get ganked, but still forced back to base, going to most likely have to TP back up to this top side to come back into this lane.
As mid lane, Leo takes a gold card and a couple of cards as well on top of that to the face, but we'll be perfectly fine. Unfortunately, just a little bit low on mana. And that is one of the weaknesses Vex has, is that there are some high mana costs in her kit early on that allow something like a Twisted Fate to constantly push back in. And once Twisted Fate hits level 6, if Leo isn't already ready to follow that up wherever he goes, we're going to see Shochi immediately go probably top side to kill Dragoon.
Yeah, I mean, ganking the Twisted Fate, or ganking on the Twisted Fate, incredibly easy. Trying to take down a GP, you need to be careful with where you're spending your resources, right? Because we've got 2 stuns on both, one on each of the players that we're expecting to go up there. Have to wait and see which ones do come through first. Obviously, that cleanse on the orange to get to safety. Haze forced to flash, though, already.
Early flash, but that was a nice double play over there from JayJ. The follow-up, though, Haze taking a lot of damage. You tell that Daption wants to be able to follow that up, but he couldn't. Now top lane. Here's the TP, the flash away from Dragoon, but first blood picked up in the bot lane. All the while top lane, we still have the fight. It's going to be 2 kills for the bot lane, 2v2 fight. Well, 2 more traded over in top lane for Team LeenK.
Absolute carnage. It's a 2 for 2 across the board. Top side goes the way of LeenK, bot side goes the way of Rosethorn, and it's the roam up from the mid lane. It's Leo that makes the difference with his teleport. Now he might be in a little bit of trouble with Shochi cutting him off.
So personal space used to gain a shield and get a lot of damage back onto Shochi. Shochi, though, chasing the spec. Here's going to be Daption. Nice grand entrance with the gold card to delay the inevitable as Leo flashed over the wall, gets the flash away. Both of them should survive, but that was perfect timing by Daption to keep his mid laner alive.
Really good roam opportunity there. Keeps his mid alive. Okay, maybe gets Shochi as well right there. The fear does come through, but
yeah,
he's okay.
Gotta respect the fear. You can see the timer on him, my friend. I played both sides of this matchup with Vex. You know where it's at.
Yeah, there's a big red bar there that tells you, hey, this is the bad time. And I heard a really good comparison. That's the word. Narbar similarities, right? You got to play around it like that. As we actually see that JayJ does get a little caught as well. Flash burned there as well, and Flash is just all over the board getting shown.
Speedo and Dragoon continue to bash their face into one another, but that was a really nice barrel combo coming in from Dragoon. Speedo!
Counter strike for a bit.
This is not looking too good. He wants to dodge away, but Parlay takes a second kill top lane while LeenK, Daption show up mid lane. Shochi overstayed his welcome, even with the gold card on top of LeenK. He still dies in the fight.
There we go. Nice row up once again here. We're just seeing this Rakan able to do more across the map than Thresh has been just yet. And across the board, you know, there's a slight advantage down in the bot lane, masked by that 2v2 kill that they were able to get. And outside of that, the rest of the map doesn't look too great for Rosethorn side. LeenK going to be able to pick up this crab. Top side is going very well for Dragoon. He's able to pick up a solo kill in the in the GP versus Jax matchup here, and you can already see respect starting to be paid by Speedo. Opted into a D-Blade early, but now we may well see that there's a bit of a Daption clutch.
Daption is getting caught in the pit, though. He was able to get over the wall. Top play. Speedo, Dragoon. Speedo, did you not learn your lesson from last time? And wait, how did JayJ get into the pit here now in the exact same position Daption had been prior with the Destiny Gate open? Yeah, the gold cards, though, has not connected just yet. It's going to be Cannon Barrage and fourth crit shot to get the kill while Rosethorn tries to escape. At the end of the line is his end of the line. Rampage for LeenK.
Oh, it's just all coming up LeenK right now. Almost 100% kill participation. Haze is on the wrong side of Summoner's Rift as well. Picks up a trade kill.
Yeah, at least he takes one with him. He wanted to make it two, but unfortunately, LeenK is unstoppable.
The most broken spell in the game once again. Smokescreen comes up to save the life of Kyle. Doesn't fall in the end off the back of those shot crumbs being stacked on up. There was an opportunity. One more auto may well have taken down the Jhin, but Smokescreen prevents that from happening. Kyle not caught.
No, but it is going to be JayJ with Ignite and the auto, so the support takes down the ADC.
Oh, and Swifty Boots Rush as well for this Jhin. Has absolutely no combat power whatsoever. He's just running super speedy right now. And speaking of speed, Speedo on this top side steps out the brush. Oh no.
Speedo, you can't counter-strike those. You can't do it. You're learning the lesson, old man, each and every time. As Dragoon has backup, and they got a huge lead now for Dragoon. Rosethorn looking for the escape. Heartbreaker, but he's burning. Parlay double kill.
There we go, lovely roam once again. It's just the difference of these support timings right now have been truly astronomical. Seeing Daption on this top side and picking up yet again another double kill here and finding these advantages is really playing well.
Well, this is where those Swifties come in handy, dodging away from the death sentence, and curtain call opened up wide. Flash away, he doesn't know where he is. Oh, that was so close.
We were both colon O right there. That was absolutely incredible that he's able to get away and almost picks up that kill with that with the fourth shot coming on through. Looks like we're seeing this Daption roam continue though, with obviously the with Jhin just looking for skirmishes in the river. No real harm, no real foul being committed by Daption to not be in that bot lane. Helps out a little bit in terms of getting that Rift Herald priority. And look at the item discrepancy right now, Magical, because it's two first items already.
Two first items, the Essence Reaver for Dragoon. Oh. Speedo thought he could step up. You can't step up in this matchup. You're way too far behind. I was even going to mention that before you had brought it up. Look at the kill discrepancy. We're not even 10 minutes in. We're about to hit that mark, and we have 10 kills on the side of Team LeenK.
And the snowball is probably only going to continue. This is a good attempt by Rosethorn.
This is where you can at least get some gold back. They've got a lot of damage. They're so low. They've taken Rakan first, and they got mid lane, unfortunately. Easy gank from LeenK. The shield bow shield, huge. But suddenly, wait, Rosethorn, how did he die underneath? Turn the flash in to pick up the double kill for Haze. But it was a 2-for-1 in the bot lane. Across the board, it's a 2-for-2.
And with Rift Herald being used as well here, this is a trade-up across the map for LeenK. They may well be able to break open mid-tier 1. At 10 minutes into the game, this is going to give them so much control of Summoner's Rift throughout this mid-game that the playmaking potential of this Graves is just going to keep on going up.
Well, and the thing is, you get this Twisted Fate to be the one to push in these lanes, to have the advantage, to be the first to make the moves across the map. Without a turret to back him up, it's going to be so much more difficult for him to actually do anything, especially when Dragoon can just win this so handedly in the top lane. The flash in, unstoppable. Rosethorn, the next combatant in, with a heal coming in from Orange to be okay, but it's shut down gold for Rosethorn. All the while, LeenK, you had found Shochi up there in the top lane. You TP'd in with the Destiny Gate, but now can he win the 2v1? Gold card connects, but it is going to be LeenK dashing back in. The burn, gone like LeenK. Shochi runs for the hills, but Shadow Surge connected for the first kill out of Vex.
Yeah, you TP in there and Shochi's just a little bit unfamiliar. It's that big long-range ultimate that comes through from Leo. You are not safe walking underneath your turret right there, and picks up the trade kill. Overall, again, a 2-for-1, this time in favor of LeenK's squad, and they're continuing to find these snowballs. 15 kills inside 11 minutes here. They're just finding any form of aggression they can.
And at this point, for Team Rosethorn, what can you do to get back in this game? You could try to fight a 2v2 in the bot lane, but we already see that it's not necessarily the easiest. The cleanse comes in, but now you've overstayed, and it's a TP box laid down. Crit use on the other target, but Parlay easily executes another. 2 more into the pocket of Team LeenK.
Daption wants a little bit of the pie as well, pops down the ignite, takes a kill for himself, and picks up another double kill. Now LeenK squad's just doing so well.
You know my rule of League of Legends?
What is it?
Support gets the kills. The ADC gets the farm. I would 100% condone that there, Daption. You deserve that.
You know, it's a learning process for me. AD carry player, I'm not going to go and condone it, but a kill is a kill. That is my philosophy. So if we get the kills, that's the only goal right there. And, you know, LeenK, they're doing a pretty good job at that at this point.
Especially when you see that there's a 7 and 0. Braves on their side. Mortal Shield Bow completed. Has got another Vampiric Scepter in the pocket as well. And, oh God, it's just getting worse and worse when you look at it more and more. Leo fights in the top lane, but it looks like LeenK
can they kill it?
He's got
raid
a
boss.
little too far. He is the true raid boss. Look at how much he heals. They couldn't do it. The knock up collateral damage kill going over to the support as always, as should be. With Shochi now here, flashing away. Speedo barely alive, but the crit's now coming through. The gold card not utilized just yet, waiting it out, but they got the kill on the back line onto Kyle. But Dragoon, it's the second raid boss to make sure 2 more kills go over to LeenK on top lane. Leo, I believe in you. Go for it. There we go. Right on top of him against the other bot lane. It is going to be Vex cleaning house, waiting to flash over the wall. Barely will keep JayJ alive.
And what is almost an ace across the board, LeenK just picking up kills left, right, and center. It's a play that's engaged on the bot side by Rosethorn to try and pick up this Graves, but we talked about how far ahead he is in terms of items. It's not just that, it's the experience as well. 3 level difference between the junglers before that. Now Rosethorn trying to take down Leo does have support.
Does have Shochi showing up with that TP behind. Leo does not have the fear for quite some time. Nice sidestep, but the gold card is available. Mistral shot comes out, but it's a lot of damage with the Heartbreaker as Leo. Personal space not used just yet. Almost.
Wow, well, you know, there's not a right lot he could do right there. No Shadow Surge available and running into the enemy's turret. That seemed inevitable. Still pretty nice to see some sidesteps and oh dear.
Oh dear, oh dear. Dragoon and LeenK, they have these flanks of the century that seems like they are the ones fully in control of every aspect, every inch, every corner of Summoner's Rift.
3 kills for them in the mid lane this time round, and this is descending into absolute chaos in case it wasn't already. 10 kills now on your Graves. LeenK hasn't based either since the last time we saw them pick up a triple kill down on the bot side. This is going to be another instance of somebody absolutely stacking gold. We've got the 5k challenge going on in the jungle. And
you think a full item and a half, or are you going 2?
what, are we doing predictions? So it's BT, and then how much of the IE has he finished?
Right. That's what I'm thinking. At least an item and a half.
Yeah, I think it's full BT and then BF as well.
You're going that route. Okay. So there it is. Got that.
What?
Elixir of Iron. Okay.
Sad times.
You could definitely buy more. I think you could buy more. We're getting scammed here.
Unless Iron gives lifesteal as well, I don't condone this purchase. It should have been a crit cloak. And that's where I will firmly stand. I'll die on this hill. Even if he had 500 gold left over after buying the item, don't care. I wanted to see something more from you, not a tank item.
I think he still has a lot of gold in his pocket. I think we're being scammed. And here's going to be another fight. More gold. Legendary LeenK. Shadow Surge didn't connect because it didn't need to. Haze has been completely cut away. Healing up the best he damn can, but still going to be the Rampage in for the support. Well, it's a 12th kill for this Grave Dragoon. Is he 3 levels up, Speedo?
Yep, that's about right. That math checks out. Shochi now in a lot of trouble as well. Gale Force in. This should just be another quick pick.
Well, it's really so the raid boss can just come here, pop, pop. There it is. Barrel killing spree for Dragoon.
Yeah, it's honestly one carry and 3 supports right now, and then just Dragoon doing whatever Dragoon wants down on the bot side of the map. We got everybody setting up the CC for Graves to just walk in and bot people, and then everybody else just sort of walking around and setting him up for that.
Speedo and Rosethorn are both here. Kurt, go! Oh my God! Where'd they come from? Where did they come from? How did they go? Oh, Cotton Eye Joe, this ain't looking so good for Team Rosethorn. They got completely caught up. It was a surrender, anyways. This game was over.
Yeah, honestly, I'm going to go out on a whim and say no surprise, to be honest. This was an absolute slaughter. LeenK just able to put their foot to the floor and find as many kills as they wanted, honestly. They had 8 kills on the GP, 13 on the Graves. I think, honestly, more kills onto Daption than they had onto Kyle in the end. But, I mean, like you say, supports get the kills, ADCs get the farm.
I mean, this is one of those games, too, where if you look at it, this is one of those ones. You're having fun. This is exhibition matches. UFF for this game. You're not winning. There is no salvation for this game. You're not salvaging any of the parts. And Team LeenK got everything working perfectly for them. They got the Graves fed early. They got the Gangplank fed early. 2 champions that scale well into the game. What the hell can you do if you're on Team Rosethorn?
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of those games. This is where I love to sort of bring up how AD carry early on isn't necessarily the most impactful role. I think that down in the bot lane, Kyle could have been playing AD crit Singe. That game would have gone the same way, and there would have been absolutely no difference to how his game would have played out. The end result was still just going to be LeenK running around bopping folk with Dragoon as well on the GP, doing very well. But yeah, like you say, by and large, just running around with those late game scalers that are already so far ahead. What is there to be done?
Nothing at all, and it's a quick game, a quick out for us here after a first 2 matches that were so damn close. But we will let the analyst desk break down this final game as well as the whole entire day. So take it away.
All right, welcome back to the analyst desk and BANGER banger, baby. That was it was a quick win. I guess I could have seen the forfeit coming once we got into a little bit, but it was fun to watch nonetheless. Kelsey, why don't you open up with us? What'd you see there? What did you like?
Well, first of all, that was a really tough task that the casters gave us, which is to break down not only this game, but the entire day. So I'm going to focus on this particular game. For me, a big shout out to Dragoon. Picked the GP, the all-in, that 5th pick was really impactful. Set up wave states to get to a point where Speedo was really suffering towards the early part of that game, and they had to send up people to effectively inted to him to try to fix the wave state, and they cleaned up with the Graves GP combo that they were forcing into, and that's the kind of play that we want to see coming out, and did very well on top of, we didn't see it until it was off camera, but Leo getting that double kill, would love to see how that happened. So a lot of champions doing well that game. I think the theme of the series was, if you have to come into us, we're going to win it. And that's what we saw with the GP, with the Graves. And it did very well for them.
Yeah, I really liked Team LeenK's picks in terms of like the Graves and Gangplank and executing them. I also wanted to highlight Daption a little bit because he was able to either Dragoon called him or he was able to notice that they were going to fight 2v2 and basic like in top lane with the Jackson and the Viego. And once he matched that play to turn that 2v2, and I think there ended up being more kills after that, the game is like sealed up at that point, because that was like the last final chance for blue team to really maybe take the game back into control, and they were able to really stop them with that play.
Yeah.
And obviously, we haven't mentioned the bot lane, but some great zoning coming out from the Rakan, our friends Short Hop and Daption, and just like kind of using their long range and the engage threats to just set up bot to give them the windows to play for top side. Very, very well done overall. I think just the most decisive game of the series. They figured out the draft. They figured out how to play out the map for them, and it resulted in an FF, which we hadn't seen so far today. So great play from Team LeenK overall, who I think I doubted a little bit before the series started, but got the conclusion out with the red side wins it all, and that's where we are.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things that we've been asking here towards the end of our streams on the Amateur Arena, with a lot of really exciting guests, right? So Wes Rice and Parth were on last week. Kelsey, I'm obviously a big fan of yours, and I'm curious for all the players that are in Amateur Arena or up and coming and still very young. What advice would you have for the players that want to make it and want to get to the next level?
DM people. I think that's the straight up one. Probably it's been said before. DM people, just cold DM them. Make sure you save replays from any comp games, any solo queue. Just have your games that you send to people. If they respond, say, "Hey, great, thanks for reaching out. Send me some POVs. POVs, most important. Seeing the way that you use your mouse, the way that you're using your camera, anything like that, how you're executing and visualizing the situation with the information you're available is really, really key. And I think the next part is one way to improve your game is to have clear goals for solo queue. You're surprised how many challenger players I ask them, like how do you think about your game days and your improvement, and so many they just brain off, grind, climb. I'm throwing this out there. LCK and LPL, they're the kings of the grinding, man. They're gonna sleep under their desks for 3 hours and get up the next morning and just immediately queue into the game. We're not gonna outgrind them. We don't even have a good enough environment to outgrind them, so we have to play smarter. Make sure our goals are set up in advance. If you are not playing solo queue with a goal in mind, you are wasting your day. So that's a big piece of advice for me. And then finally, brand matters for sure. People are not going to tell you that. They're gonna say the best players are going to succeed, but for most orcs, scouting is not terribly deep, and a lot of times teams will have very, very busy off seasons. They'll prioritize LCS scouting before they get to Academy, before they get to Amateur. So it'll come down to who's playing well in the tryouts and who's being annoying in DMs, who's putting memorable memes on Twitter sometimes, because at least you remember that guy, right? So just your brand matters a lot. Do content or post Twitter memes, stream, do any sorts of optics that you can give me to give to my ownership and say, hey, this guy is going to represent my org. So all good.
Awesome. And so we do have an interview ready before we flip on over. Any last shout outs, any last words from both Kelsey and Pukar?
This has been an exciting day again. Once again, I'm on the desk, and there are some amazing banger games on the broadcast. And once again, thank you for AoE for having us on the broadcast again. AoE Showdown, awesome.
Thank you, AoE, but also thank you, Twitch, Secret Lab, Monster, Wolves, Ultra Gear, and Bud Light, because I have to do it. I'm sorry, I had to. So let's have a great interview.
Awesome. And we have an interview with Rosethorn coming up next, so stay tuned.
Alrighty, hello, welcome in. We're here with Rosethorn for an awesome interview. Rosethorn, games 1 and 2, absolute bangers. Game 3 didn't exist. Don't worry about that. We're not going to talk about that. So how does it feel from those games? Those games' perspectives. We're going to focus only on that.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun. Obviously, we had a pretty huge lead that we managed to snowball in the first game, and then made a few mistakes where we got caught out, tried to salvage plays that really didn't work out, and then eventually we just couldn't play to our team's win con later on. And then second game, just the reverse. Whoever wins early game loses the game later. So, just made a few bangers and managed to clutch it out at the end.
Yeah, I mean, that game had like 4 Barons, an Elder, Soul going over to the enemy, and you're still able to win the game. Truly incredible stuff, honestly. I want to question you, pick your brain a little bit as to what sort of role, what mantle you're taking in these teams. Obviously, this is 5 players sort of thrown together a little bit to come to these games. Are you trying to be that leading voice, or is that delegating to other people?
Yeah, I mean, this was my first time playing in the AoE in-houses, but yeah, I'm definitely trying to find more of a leadership voice, especially when we're like not like on the same page of what we want to do, and try to just make sure that we're like, we have a plan and we all want to do something. So we're just not like all, hitting minions and stuff. But yeah, it was a little hard in the last game, but managed to do that in the first two.
Yeah, I mean, hey, like we say, Game 3, Fever Dream didn't happen. It was still obviously very fun to get a look at, and nice to hear that we're sort of searching for a bit more of a leadership voice for those games where, obviously, with new people trying to come together. Question then to you is, who I suppose, what's your read on obviously having these things in the meta, things like having Kindred open, for example, on, as a bit of a counter pick, really. Things like Viego as well. I know recently we've seen a lot of dropping in and out of maybe even AP junglers, but is there anything that you're particularly wanting to bust out that you didn't quite have a chance to today, or is it all just sort of run-of-the-mill stuff that you've had tonight?
Yeah, for sure. The meta is definitely super open, or at least that's what it feels like, because like no one really knows what they want to do, except like when we ran through the draft, we like had some pyro picks that we knew we would want to play, or we would want to like first pick. But yeah, definitely a lot of things I want to pull out in terms of like assassin junglers or other AP junglers. So hopefully I'll be able to do that in the future.
And I kind of want to bring things back. You're talking about like gaining a leadership voice, and I think that second game was a really good one to kind of like dive a little bit deeper into with how that would come about. How you would, in that game especially, were able to find a leadership voice. Was it the players that you've been like playing with there, or were you really just banking off a lot of the talent you've had from previous experiences in Academy?
I mean, I guess it would be like a little bit of both, because you definitely need to be understanding of like what kind of sacrifices you need to make like during the game when you're like in that kind of deficit, and at the same time you need to know like what everyone needs to do like during the game. So as long as everyone is on the same page of like what kind of plan we're going to make, then there's going to be a higher chance of making that kind of comeback. So I think being able to play a lot of games in the past like split, especially since I remember in like my games were like usually pretty long, so like having that kind of experience definitely helps out to like translate in games like this, because it's amateur and academy where it's just like, and it's an in-house where we like didn't play with each other, so everyone's gonna like make mistakes, right? And it's just about capitalizing on those.
And I think you guys did well in that one. It was, like I said, games 1 and 2, absolute bangers. Absolutely love them. Fever Dream for the last one didn't exist, but Rosethorn, thank you so much for joining us for the interview, as well as playing in the amateur arena. Everyone out there who joined us, the desk, the players, it was all fantastic to be a part of. That's going to be it, though, from us. Rude Dude, Rosethorn, I'll let you both. Well, actually, let's let Rosethorn first. Do you have anything you'd like to say before peacing out?
Just thanks for watching and casting these games, and I'd like to play more, so watching me in the future. Love it.
Rude Dude, your turn.
Hey, just again, pleasure to be on the desk. Nice to see rising stars of NA start to come to fruition, and Rosethorn no exception, right? See what bright things hold for the future for these guys, and it's a pleasure to be on at the ground floor of all of it.
And that we'll see with the coming days and weeks with all of this growth here in North America. Thank you all for joining us, and have a wonderful night.